Brooklyn. It's the 9th annual Blank Check Awards. And now your host for this evening, song and dance man, Griffin Newman.
What a wonderful night for Blankies, Blankies, Blankies. Who will win? Bop, Inheimer, bop, Inheimer, bop, Inheimer, do. Yeah, bop. Inheimer do dop. Inheimer
Second verse.
Bop. Inheimer do. Yeah. Killers of the Flower Moon River.
Yep.
Movies very long. Genocide is sad, my friends.
I'm being the audience where they're like,
These are sort of abridged. These are little snippets.
Right.
Sure.
You ain't nothing but a poor thing.
Wow.
Fucking all the time. You ain't nothing but a poor thing. Fucking all the time.
And Billy pitched that.
You know,
to Kimmel.
Ruffalo's a cat, but it ain't no care of mine.
Billy actually faxed that one to Kimmel.
Yeah.
Hold on over,
wow.
baby. Hold on over, baby.
Catching all the age groups in this one. This is good.
Giamatti's got a lazy eye, he can't see you. Hold on over, baby.
So he would have had maybe like a backing group for that one.
Yeah. Sure.
And then I was stuck on Maestro.
Uh-huh.
What fucking song do you do for Maestro? I was like, Maestro. So
I'm not the Weird Al of Blank Check.
Well, that was me trying to do it.
Yeah.
Look, there were a couple of years where I didn't try it all.
Exactly. You're trying to do the parody
again.
songs again.
Yeah.
You could do that like My Neck, My Back song, except it's like Maestro.
Oh, sure, Maestro.
That would be reining it in.
It's past lives. It's now or never.
Okay.
I ain't gonna Skype forever.
Oh, there you go. That's good. Did you just come up with that?
I just came up with that one. I'm looking at other
Fantastic.
things. Yeah.
But all the other stuff you wrote months in advance.
Oh, there were some stressful Skype sound
Workshopping
effects
with
in that movie.
Valanche all that time. There was a lot of, you had to put a lot of time in.
Do you think Valanche just kind of is like suspended in some sort of like, Bacta tank or, spice tank from Dune or whatever? That's how I imagine he is.
Here's my
Baron Valanche.
Here's my
He's
pitch.
just kind of like ageless, and then they just knock on his tank, and he's
Right.
like, like he still has an OJ joke for them or whatever.
Let him host. The
Let
fuck
him
are
host?
we doing here? Yeah.
Valanche hosting. Now he's 75 years old.
Ripe.
Yeah, ripe is the word.
Finger on the pulse.
David, we've been talking about, you and I both recently rewatched all the Billy openings.
Yeah,
And this
sure.
gets called out sometimes, but I always
watch them
forget.
a lot. Yeah, I think
Yeah.
you were like really like, I'm gonna do
I watch
this.
them fairly often, but this year I was like, oh, I'm gonna actually watch every single one in order.
Yeah.
And people lose track of this, but like just the weird cyclical nature of
Yeah.
his first year hosting the Oscars was the year after the Rob Lowe Snow White.
Right.
Am I wrong about that?
It's correct. It's the same thing that happened with Kimmel, where they were like, maybe we should stop trying to reinvent what this is and hire a comedian to host the Oscars.
Right. Yeah.
And so he comes out and he's like, I know you all hate the thing where I promised when I took the job, I said, I'm not going to do
That
one of
was
these
the bit.
horrible, crappy opening musical medleys
Yep.
that everyone rolls their eyes at.
Yep.
And then the bit is, oh, he's doing it, but he's doing the lo-fi version of it.
Yeah.
With
The
some
joke-
jokes.
The joke was him sort of doing what I'm doing, which is like, oh, this is like the shitty they just made it up
Right.
version.
And then it became
without
the institution.
backup dancers or real singers. And then it becomes the thing that people like me parody as, isn't that corny?
Right.
Well, it's Alan Carr, right? The year before, right? Was the famous, very over the top producer,
Sure.
and like just I still think about it like just the big brain kind of like, well, who's the most famous movie star? Snow White?
Yes.
Anyone
The greatest.
heard of her?
The greatest of all time, the GOAT.
Oh, how are we gonna do Snow? How are we gonna do that? I'll just have someone wear a Snow White costume.
Send a van down to Anaheim, pick up whoever's playing Snow White in the park right now, and bring her down.
Who's the ultimate gentleman with teenage girls?
and then the other part.
I guess that's before, right? It predates
it is, but barely.
Yeah.
But beyond that,
maybe gave him some ideas.
I did a trivia thing one time, a
Always
trivia
safe to
round
talk
where
about
it
on
was
podcasts. Yeah.
I did a trivia round one time where it was the Billy Crystal parodies, and I was like, match up the movie with the actual song that was parodied.
Yeah.
And I think I gave like an answer bank because I was like, it would have been too hard otherwise. And it was fun watching people come up with their own Crystal thing. Where it's like the answer was wrong, but they were like, I figured it would be because of this and this. And
some of them are so weird. I mean, the one I always think about is doing Seabiscuit to Goldfinger.
Yes.
Seabiscuit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, what are you supposed to do with a movie called Seabiscuit?
That's why I guess he was just like, okay, let's break down number of syllables.
Sometimes he's punning the title, but sometimes he's punning the filmmaker. Like the Good Will Hunting was night and day because it was Ben and Matt and Ben, you know, that.
Right. And then because
and Sophia, Lost in Translation was Maria from West Side Story, but it was Sophia. I just met a girl named Sophia, like that.
Yes.
Seabiscuit was nominated for 7 Academy Awards, including Best Picture of the Year. Best Motion Picture of the Year.
In like a fairly big year. Was a summer release, was a big hit.
Was a big hit, but also critics were like,
whatever.
And then the end of the year comes, they're like, but what about Seabiscuit this time? And they're like, go.
Well, the Seabiscuit one, though, I just want to call out because obviously I've said this on other episodes. It's one of the only times Billy doesn't make the opening monologue joke about the director being snubbed.
Right.
Yeah.
That's
where
true.
he was just like, none of us are upset that Gary Ross didn't get the nomination.
Who did?
Instead,
yes, can you tell me?
Fernando Morales.
Yeah. One of the biggest surprises of like Oscar nomination morning ever.
For nerds like us, and let's be clear, this is Blank Check with Griffin and David. I'm Griffin.
I'm David.
It's usually a podcast about filmographies, directors who have massive success, blah, 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 blah. Once a year, we pick the winners.
Yes.
The Blankie Awards. We bring in our old friend, Joe Reid, a.k.a. Reading Rain Joe.
Thank you.
From This Had Oscar Buzz.
Thank you.
And we just fucking nerd out.
Now, DGA gave Gary Ross the nom. As they often do, DGA will actually reflect Best Picture better than Best Director.
Sure, right.
Who did the Globes give that slot to?
In 2003.
It wasn't Mr. Gary Ross.
That's a good question.
To be clear, the other 4 nominees
Jackson.
Well, you want to do them?
Yeah. Did they give it to Minghella?
The Golden Globes gave it to Anthony Minghella for
Cold
Mountain,
Mountain,
which of course got sort of like surprisingly snubbed in the top 2 categories. Right. Somewhat surprising.
And actress. Yeah.
An actress. That was a surprising stuff.
So much time has passed since you left me.
Well, Best Actress
here
that
on
year.
Cold Mountain.
Best Actress that year was sort of wild throughout, and then nomination morning comes, and everybody was putting Keisha Castle Hughes for Whale Rider and supporting,
which was bullshit.
Wrong.
But it was where she got in the sack.
And then so the Oscar voters were like, no, she's the lead actress, which like they don't do often enough.
2003, I feel like, is a morning that nerds like us think about as like
100%.
I want one of those again, where they announced Fernando Morales.
That's
and
my
went,
Roman Empire.
That wasn't on a long list,
right?
It wasn't on a long.
We hadn't even conceived it. That was 8th dimensional thinking.
What was that?
It got 4 noms.
City of God.
Right. There were like a couple other surprises of like
Samantha Morton getting in Best Actress was
Correct.
super
surprising,
weird, but great because I love that movie.
Keisha's category placement was surprising, especially her bumping Nicole.
She took Uma's spot. I'll never.
Hunter was kind of on the bubble.
You know who read the nominees
surprising.
that year?
That year was Sigourney.
Sigourney Weaver.
We were talking about Sigourney right before we started recording.
Can you give me the other 4 directing nominees just to
close? For 2003? Well,
Peter
of course,
Jackson. You said
Peter Jackson. Old Man Eastwood, as Billy said.
Eastwood for Mystic River.
Chugging along.
What's the year that he did "You Sang and Paint Your Wagon, Don't Sing Anymore"?
I think that was
for $1 Million Baby. No, it wasn't that.
Are you sure?
Maybe it was. Maybe it was Unforgiven.
I think it was. I mean, we both watched them recently.
It was funny.
Yeah, it's very funny. There's one year where Clint's loving the Billy.
Yeah.
I think it was that year because he was with Francis Fisher.
The last year Clint enjoyed anything. It was
exactly. He's riding high. He's finally made it.
So 74 years young.
Jackson Eastwood. He's like, how old is he when Unforgiven comes out? Let's look.
Unforgiven. He's like 69.
No, he's not that old.
Hell yeah, brother.
Yeah. All right. Let's see. 1930. He's like 62.
Okay.
And it's just so funny to think about the Oscars being like, as you hang your hat up and head into retirement, Clint, let's give you some Oscars. And he's like, 30 more years of movies coming, bitch.
My dad's 10 years older than him now.
What if there was a juror?
Right, than he was in his Old Man movie. That's the other thing, though. Like old star, like when they give the award to fucking John Wayne and he's like 62 and everyone's like, he's had a good run. He's dead within 18 months.
Well, those people had the good sense to drink themselves to death and whatever.
Right. Actors used to have like professional wrestler lifespans.
Right.
It's just like so obvious that the Unforgiven win was like them being like, Clint, we've been rude to you.
Yeah.
And you know, you're wrapping it up and it's great.
Taking it seriously.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
All right.
So Jackson
Eastwood.
Old man Eastwood. Morales. And then the other two for 2003, Big Fish didn't get in, which made me very angry as a 14-year-old.
Justifiable decision.
Dumb opinion.
You're going to name two really good movies. So you are, come on.
Really?
Yeah.
One of them I've mentioned like in the last 5 or 10 minutes.
One of them was a woman. Griffin. Yeah. So maybe
Sophia
Coppola.
I just met a woman named Sophia.
And then one of them you're making David very sad.
It's like my favorite.
It's your guy. It's Peter Weir's Master and Commander.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah,
it's a very solid 5, especially given that they put Morales in there, which was cool.
Yeah, I would have.
Yeah,
put Burton in there.
Burton's not even close.
Burton's in.
No, like the big snub. Honestly, the crazy snub is Tarantino. But like they just were not.
They did not consider those movies.
They did, but they just didn't really know how to deal with it.
They didn't consider. They didn't give it a single fucking nomination.
No, they did it. I'm saying like that movie was in the Oscar race. Uma got a nom. I still have
Golden
my
Globe.
Quentin Tarantino FYC.
Yes.
Yeah, Golden Globe nom. She should have gotten an Oscar nom. Morton takes her spot.
I strongly agree, but I just remember, obviously, I was the right age to be so amped up for that fucking movie and being like, why is this not getting taken seriously?
Yeah.
And it not even getting shit like costume or editing.
Oh, yeah.
It was just like, this was...
Well, this is what we were talking about with Wes Anderson recently, too, where it's like these people with like these huge and kind of obvious visual aesthetics. Yeah. Like, it's not like you have to be really like, you got to really like see the whole board. It's like the aesthetics are up front.
Tarantino's weird, though, because when they go for him wholeheartedly. Yeah. And some movies they skip over entirely.
Yeah.
Wes, we were just talking about, it's the insane thing where it's like only one of his movies has ever gotten nominated in any craft categories.
Right.
There's 1 year they went for his movie in everything,
whole hog,
down the ballot,
and he won a few. Like
I don't really,
and you're like, there are other guys like that where it's like, well, the Academy doesn't love them, but their films are always going to get cinematography or costume or art direction or like certain period pieces where you're just like, no one's gonna fucking nominate the Duchess in the major categories, but obviously it's an automatic costume nomination. 0 acting nominations across all of Wes's films.
I mean, yeah, well, that across all is crazy.
Across all is crazy.
The fact that he doesn't, the thing I think is crazy is the first thing you said, which is like, why does he not get craft consideration, right?
He should get a production design nomination for every year.
And I think it partly makes it look easy, right? That's the thing.
Sure. Robert Yeoman's never gotten an Oscar nomination.
Right. Like they just take him for granted, I guess.
But
then partly I think its focus doesn't maybe have the right approach. Between
he's done Focus and Searchlight.
Yeah, who did Searchlight? Well, who are his Searchlight movies?
His Searchlight movies are why am I fucking blanking here?
Well, French Dispatch was
Searchlight. Darjeeling was Searchlight.
Yeah.
French Dispatch was doomed by weird.
The animated movies were Searchlight, which got his animation nominations.
I just like Asteroid City.
I knew Touchstone before that.
I knew Asteroid City was getting nothing.
Sure,
because it came out in the summer.
Out way too early.
Blah, blah, blah. And some people don't like it.
Yeah,
but you don't want to just even try. You know, just kind of put your elbow on the scale just for fucking.
Because there'll just be nothing.
Yeoman has one. No,
for what?
Budapest.
Right.
Oh,
everything.
Yes, I'm sorry.
Everything for Budapest.
I'm sorry.
Right. That's the one time everybody got their flowers.
Right.
But the thing with the acting nominations is you can see it where a lot of these movies are hugely ensemble based.
Yeah.
So like I understand that he's never gotten a supporting nomination on anybody.
The Fine Snub is wild.
The Fine Snub makes no sense, and that he didn't show up anywhere that season.
I think
is
that was
so weird.
Category confusion along with that. Yeah, they didn't. They never really settled on if he was lead or supporting.
He's so clearly the lead.
It's his movie. Yeah. I agree. Yeah. He got a BAFTA nom.
Yeah.
Hackman at least got the Golden Globe for 10.
Well, the Hackman snub.
The Hackman snub's insane. The first Murray snub is insane.
The Rushmore snub?
Yeah.
Nah, movie's too weird for them, I think.
He was another one who came close, though. He won a bunch of precursors.
And he was just such a big star in that sort of like transformative moment.
That was the like trial balloon that made the Lost in Translation one possible.
It's just such a different. The 90s Oscar voters, they're so stodgy. Like,
that
versus.
felt like a weird snub to me. But they also
he's an asshole.
Well, that's the other thing.
But then they nominated him the next time.
Yeah.
5 years later for a gigantic critical sensation. Rushmore was a little more of like an art, house, like, minor.
I think the bigger thing with Rushmore was that they did what now works more often, but they did
the screenplay nod.
No, it didn't get a screenplay nod.
Didn't it? Okay.
No.
Yeah.
No, his screenplay nods are Royal Tenenbaums,
Good movie.
Moonrise,
Good
Budapest. 3.
Good movies.
Yeah. Rushmore, they did we release it in 1 week, for 1 week in New York and LA in December. Right. And then it came out for real in February.
Well, that makes sense that probably hurt it too, right?
Yeah.
Who had Rushmore?
Touchstone. The first.
Yeah, Tenenbaums was Touchstone.
Sony, then 3 Touchstones, then Searchlight, and then he's like ping-ponging between Searchlight and Focus.
I think, Murray would have won the Oscar, and he probably would have got nominated for Rushmore. He just has the problem that he's a gigantic asshole who everyone hates.
I think you're overrating how much that played into that one.
I don't think I am.
He did lose to Sean Penn, which is very funny when you think about it.
But the assholes get nominated. They just don't win in those situations.
Rushmore was too weird.
That's the Burt Reynolds, Eddie. Yeah. The assholes, that's when they pull the rug out from under them when they're actually at the show.
Stallone, yeah.
Like, what's the 98 Oscars, Rushmore? We're talking? So who gets in there?
Coburn?
Jeffrey Rush for Shakespeare in Love. Ed Harris for Truman Show.
We just talked this category. I can't remember why.
Who are the others? Robert Duvall for Civil Action.
Coburn's the winner, right?
Thornton for Simple Plan.
Simple Plan. Yeah.
I mean, I don't know who the...
Murray would have won had he got nominated. Do we agree?
No.
No?
I think Coburn won. Like, we don't understand that now, but in the 90s, it was like, it's time for James Coburn to get his Oscar.
It's also, they were all set to give...
to that performance, which is totally good.
Yeah. Like, they were all set to give Nolte the lead, and then Benigni comes hopping along on chairback, and they're like, well, we feel bad for Nolte, so we're going to give it to Coburn as by the transitive property.
Maybe a little bit of that. Yeah.
Although I still think
they know he had Waternoose.
They knew he had Waternoose in the pocket.
Like that he was working on that. Probably. Do you think Coburn took his Oscar and recorded some Waternoose?
Look, we have to start getting to our picks. And Ben, maybe you should push back that business call a full hour because we're 30 minutes on 1998 without getting to 2023.
20 minutes. Okay.
David asked me a profound question the other day, and I'm going to offer a huge spoiler warning here because this is the Blankies. We pick our best for the previous year. We're now picking our 2023 winners.
I know what you're about to ask, and I just want to say let's do a maximum of 2 minutes on this.
Right. Start the clock.
People hate when in this final year-end wrap-up discussion, we just kind of casually spoil movies that perhaps some people haven't seen.
Okay. Wow.
Vaguely new
We're going to
releases.
spoil Monsters, Inc.
We're going to spoil a 25-year-old movie.
Yeah.
Monsters, Inc. 23. I know when Monsters, Inc. came out. Don't correct me. Joe Reid.
Yes.
Who is the primary antagonist of Monsters, Inc.?
And you can't just say like society.
No,
you can't. Okay,
you can't say fucking
or like
creeping adulthood. Like what's happening?
You can't say the energy.
No, there are 2 villains in Monsters Inc. Okay, there's Steve Buscemi as Randall, who's obviously the primary physical villain,
right?
And then Coburn as
Mr. Waternoose, who's revealed to be kind of like backing the conspiracy.
And once again, huge spoiler. Skip ahead if you haven't seen Monsters.
The economics of energy dependence in that movie.
This is a whole conversation we've been having.
Get your shovel out and start digging there because you will never hit bottom.
David's daughter has been monsters pilled recently. Gave her a Sully for her birthday.
Yeah,
I did.
You did.
Along with a Forky and a Godzilla.
Yeah.
The triple crown of
By the way, that Godzilla has been moved to my room because it has been deemed too scary.
Right.
Yes.
She was playing a little hot and cold.
Yeah, but I think she's decided like I can't have that in my room right now.
It's too intense.
So am I choosing between Buscemi and Coburn, or is there a secret third thing?
No, the question is, who is the greater villain of that film?
Because the way it's revealed is that Coburn is the ultimate villain, but on rewatch, I've seen this movie like 40 times in the last month. I'm like, I actually think Randall is the main villain. I think he came up with the evil scare extracting technology, pitched it to Coburn, Waternoose.
Yeah.
Sure. And Waternoose, in his desperation and cowardice, has gone with it. But like, who originated the conspiracy?
This is the
tweet at us,
right?
Monsters Inc. villain.
The key to David's question is your read on Monsters Inc.
There's no definitive answer, obviously.
That Coburn said we need to come up with a solution. He goes to Randall and says, "Come up with a way to."
I don't care if it hurts people. I don't care if we kidnap children.
Or does Randall crack this technology?
Right.
Go into Waternoose's office and go, "Let me
is
pitch you something.
I have no other solution.
And then he goes, ooh, what a good idea. I'd never thought of this before.
So what you're saying is
I think that
Trump approached the Republican voters with a demagoguery that could be effective, and the Republican voter, that's what you wanted to enter into a Trump conversation.
Yes, that's what we wanted.
Definitely want to turn it.
My read is
just to confirm.
My read is that it all started with Water News. That Water News was looking for the alternative.
Who wrote Bob Peterson? Who wrote Monsters Inc?
It's like 4 people got credit.
Yeah, Bob Peterson
gets credit.
One of them down?
Yeah.
Possibly.
Just be like, all right, come on, guys. Give us the
Peterson,
fucking... Stanton and Daniel Gerson are the 2 screenplay credits.
Okay.
So let's get Stanton.
Yeah.
I think on the record. Really nail him down and make him give a real answer.
I'm now going on March Madness brackets. I've had a few people who have worked with him closely reach out and say,
Stanton would be an incredible.
Let me know if you guys want
March Madness
a possible bridge to Stanton on the podcast.
I was about to say, I almost think we could get him at least on the phone for 20 minutes.
Do you know what's the part of me that thinks we could get him? Is the part that where he was just like, oh no, there's no larger Disney deal with Criterion. I just called up Criterion and said, could you please put my movie in the Criterion collection?
As you should.
Yeah.
It could just be like, we are the podcast best tailored to giving John Carter a free shake. Like that's a fair shake.
We're going to give it a shake.
But I want to talk about the 4 episodes of For All Mankind he directed, which are really good.
There you go.
Like, I love that he was just like, let me direct some shit.
His quiet TV.
Yeah.
Like right. And he's got a new live action feature coming out this year.
Which is what?
Blink of an Eye.
All right.
It's going to come out in the blink of an eye.
Blanky Colby Day.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Or like the blank of an eye.
Listen.
Where do we usually start? Supporting actors?
Yeah.
Should we fully acknowledge the Oscars, which will be in a week plus from a week from this release?
Our Child's Play.
There is
the most
no
legitimate
doubt that
award.
They're just like, can we just get Divine up here for the first category? Just knock that out in 2 minutes.
The ceremony
guys.
starts with her on the stage.
Just
exactly. We're just gonna cut down on come on, let's make.
They're like, don't come on stage. We'll come right by the steps. Okay, just stand right there. Okay.
Right. The Oscars will be in her home actually this year, where they're just like, we're not going to bother.
Let's also say this: we were talking right before we recorded. All 3 of us, as time has gone on, have swung towards the tendency of pick the people who maybe aren't getting recognized by the Oscars. So before
certainly
people,
as like a tiebreaker at the very least,
we'll still get tweets from people 4 years later going, "I can't believe you snubbed X in the year where they won the Oscar for Best Lead Actress."
They know what they did.
We're just we're picking the people we want to pick. And if people are getting their flowers from a ton of other places.
We're recording this thing at the tail end of the award season. A lot of these names have been said a lot. And we just want to, throw some other stuff. This is
our space to make some weird choices.
Best Supporting Actress.
The winners from last year, Griffin, you gave it to Anthony Hopkins for Armageddon Time.
Right, playing my grandfather.
I gave it to Oscar winner Ke Huy Quan for Everything Everywhere, just flying in the face of we always ignore those guys.
Yeah.
Joe, you gave it to Tim Roth for Resurrection.
Wow, that scared the shit out of me. Resurrection, I will say.
Yeah. I found him to be a very chill and fun hang.
Well, sure.
So I don't know what you're talking about.
My 5 nominees for Best Supporting Actress: Hong Chow for Showing Up.
Turn on that hot water, though.
I mean, if you want to take it up with her, if she loses, that's why. Because she didn't turn it on. Paula Beer for A Fire. Julianne Moore for May December. Penelope Cruz for Ferrari. And Florence Pugh for Oppenheimer.
Wow.
Right.
Joe.
Mine are in alphabetical order. Hong Chow in Showing Up.
Hell yeah.
Penelope Cruz in Ferrari.
Hell yeah.
Anne Hathaway and Eileen.
Cool.
Yeah.
Rachel McAdams in Are You There, God? It's Me, Margaret.
Yeah.
And Tilda Swinton in The Killer.
I will admit, I felt comfortable not putting McAdams on my list because I knew unquestionably she would make your 5.
Yeah, slam dunk.
Yeah.
My 5 are. Penelope Cruz in Ferrari. She's the only one in all 3, guys.
3 for 3.
Nice.
I feel like that often happens that there's maybe one.
Yeah.
Divine Joy Randolph in The Holdovers.
Sure.
Rachel McAdams in Are You There, God? We Margaret?
Sure.
Yeah.
If you there, a lot of words.
Maura Tierney in The Iron Claw.
Nice.
Real David pick.
And Ruby Cruz in Bottoms.
Nice.
Like that.
One of my favorite performances.
She's incredibly good.
And one of those, just like, as I'm watching that movie, just
Star
like,
is Born.
Who's that?
Yeah.
Who is that?
She's going to be in 8 billion things.
That's a performance where I'm like, I can't wait till this movie ends so I can go to her IMDb.
Look up who this is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, it's the girl from Mare. She was Kaylee Spaney's friend in Mare.
Right.
That's all I really knew.
Right.
Oh, the disappeared, secreted one season Willow Disney Plus.
That's right. She was on Willow. I didn't watch Willow. Sorry, Ruby Cruz. But I'm looking forward to everything you do because you're so funny.
We're just going to use the Anthony Pellicano terminology of any time a show gets removed from a streaming service by the people who made it, it's been secreted.
It's been secreted. I love that we have all gone vroom vroom for Penelope Cruz, rudely snubbed by the Oscars.
Yeah, I'll say this. There were two
who have tossed her bullshit noms, and now they don't give her this.
I know.
Trying not to, she was nominated for 9.
9.
A nom that's actually anti-Italian.
She's not even the
and
best.
This would not be.
She's not even the best supporting player in 9.
No,
like maybe top 3.
No,
well, she's
goes
fine.
Fergie. And then Kate Hudson, and I'm only halfway kidding when I say Fergie.
You should be all the way.
You're all the way kidding about Kate Hudson.
I am all the way kidding about Kate Hudson, even though I love Kate
Fergie,
Hudson.
I'm half with you.
Fergie's performance is the moment where that movie actually has some energy.
We were talking before this about when certain surprise nominations happen, we all feel the relief of
it's fun, right?
Oh, it's fun, and then I don't have to give them one of my slots on the Blankies because they're already getting the respect. I can free that up for someone even more off the beaten path.
Yeah,
I'm working on my 5 for the last couple of months, and I was like, either Cruz or Moore is gonna get in, and then I can put the other one in.
I'm shocked they didn't.
And then for both of them to get snubbed,
I'm
like 2 of our finest screen actresses, period. Screen actors,
and
period.
Oscar favorites,
both Oscar winners,
favorites, multiple nominees,
right? I'll just front load it and say those are the 2 in this category for me that stand so far above everyone else. I'm those are 2 titanic performances by 2 of our best.
Yeah.
And I was well, whoever doesn't get the Oscar nomination, I'll give my win to.
Well, and on the other side of that
coin, conflicted now.
I was real ready to be a little stinker and put Jodie Foster for Nyad in my 5, and then the Oscars did it for me. So I'm all right,
that's another one.
Nyad, not a great movie, but I think it's more fun than people say.
I agree.
I do think that Jodie's really good.
I agree.
Yeah. So
Nyad's good Oscar trash, in my opinion.
Nyad's I'm not doing anything. I don't need to pay super close attention. I'm just going to watch Nyad.
Yeah, that's what Nyad is.
Yeah.
Nyad is trash. If Nyad did not have them trying to be and also let's not forget she was abused, I would truly just be this is a great camp classic. That stuff is so bad that I was you guys are punching above your weight.
It's really,
I think Benning is hilarious in it. I think Foster is awesome in it.
Did you see the clip that they used for her at the SAG Awards?
No.
It's the clip where she's just crawled out of the water and she's salt bloated to hell.
Hell yeah.
And out of context, even in context, it's kind of funny. Out of context, it's literally that's what Nyad is. That she's just this the only thing you need to do is have a good team. It's very
Corridor Crew did one of their VFX artists react videos recently for Nyad.
Sure.
Do you know that all of the water in Nyad is CGI?
That's awesome. That actually rules.
They filmed it in a controlled tank because they need to have control of the water. Sure. But the reflection meant that it looked wrong. And the waves were not
Do you
correct.
know about the water that the real Nyad swam in? Also didn't exist. That's right. She made it up.
Truther.
She just took the subway.
Truther.
What if it turned out she took the subway to Cuba?
I'm just that's insane that Annette Bening was actually in the water, was in a real tank, swimming for real herself.
Yeah.
And then they had to CGI over the real water with fake water on top of her for every shot.
And people say Hollywood doesn't overspend.
Yes.
Nyad also had my favorite award swag I've gotten in quite a while.
Oh, the bottle?
No, the towel.
I like the bottle. The towel
I haven't used. It's there.
Must be nice.
Well, the towel confused so many people. I was on the Vulture Slack one day, and everybody was like, "What's this wall hanging that we got?"
You thought it was art,
box? Yeah. And finally, somebody was like, "I think it's a towel."
It's just an odd little towel.
It's one of those space age, it's super absorbent, and it just doesn't look like it would be.
Let's go through the people we nominated.
Okay,
Hong Chau's showing up.
I mean, Showing Up is one of those great movies about how hard productivity is and how hard it is to just get one blessed thing done, especially if you're trying to be a little bit creative in your life. And Hong Chau is the embodiment of the rest of the world sort of being just work with me here, man. She's the landlady for Michelle Williams. That hot water tank really does need to get fixed. But she's also so placid about everything, and
she's just become one of the most effective character actors alive.
Yeah.
I'm just always happy to see her. She is good used to any degree in any type of role.
I was so bummed last year that her one nomination so far is for The Whale because I hate
sucks.
It's Michael Shannon.
Yes.
Oh.
It's that thing where we're gonna be what a great like resume. She's got so many interesting performances.
Nominated
what was her
for
Oscar
what?
For The Whale?
Yeah.
And in
Tucci, you know, like these guys are like
year where she was like owning Bones in the menu.
She's great in the
so good in the menu.
Right.
And then showing up comes out.
Listen, the act
later.
of being kind to a fat person takes a lot of skill. So really, we had to get.
She's the real superhero in that movie. Could you? Unimaginable level of humanity.
My God,
no, but this
looked at him every day, walked over there, and on her own behalf, like
this is a role in which, like, yes, she is Michelle Williams' landlord. Michelle Williams is a working artist who is working so hard to give herself the time to make art. And like
Hong Chow.
But Hong Chow is getting this passive income, and she's not maintaining the home
dropping a bird off and being like, watch this bird for me for a while.
She's not only not fixing Michelle Williams' problems,
but she's not an asshole either.
That's the thing.
Yeah.
Is you're like, this woman is maddening. All Michelle Williams wants to do is yell at her and go, fix my fucking water and stop giving me shit to do. And every time
get off your tire swing
actually like, shows up, you're like, I can't yell at her.
Right.
And it's this fine line. It's so good. Paula Beer of Fire.
Yeah,
I haven't seen a Fire.
Is kind of
best hottie.
Yeah,
well, best
of
hottie.
All time.
This is kind of an overdue. I'm giving her a little bit of a like makeup nomination. She's incredible in this film, but her third now in a row with Petzold. After Undine in Transit, they have an amazing sort of partnership going on. And it's just one of these performances where you just cannot figure out what the fuck is going on with this woman ever.
Yeah,
which is kind of her specialty.
I'm looking forward to seeing that movie.
Yes. I don't want to say anything more about it because I don't want to ruin it for people. Not that it's a super twisty movie, but it's a great film. And she is just a perfect showcase for her incredibly bizarre energy.
I don't want to spoil anything about it either, but Mr. Waternoose is the villain of that film.
He is in that film?
Yeah.
There's no question.
Undeniably.
Who else have you got?
Penelope Cruz Farrar, we just all agree is fucking historic.
She said.
We had that conversation.
She's Italian.
When we saw Thief.
Oh, yes.
About how, like, I was just so...
Yeah, I get it. Oh, she's going to be good. I understand the kind of performance.
I was so hand-wavy about that before I saw that movie. I'm like, right. Penelope Cruz, I get it. And then I saw the movie, I'm like, oh, no, this is like one of her best performances. Certainly her best English language performance.
Unquestionably her best English language performance, if you ask me.
I do love her in Vicky Cristina Barcelona.
She's great in that. But she's much... Like, this is, I think, as good as she's ever been in anything.
I basically agree. I love her in this movie.
Yeah.
I do think that what you're describing, though, is the Penelope Cruz experience, where you're like, well, I know what she gives me.
Got it.
Right.
And then she gives you what she gives you.
Okay, she's just going to be the wife.
And she's Italian. She yells, and then she gives you what you expect, and you're like, it's so much better than I thought it was going to be.
But it's like there was some
It's not like she has some drastically different take. You're just like, she's just like alive with fire.
Right.
Yes,
like,
she
also doesn't like fall on the floor and like this whole, you know what I mean? Like
it genuinely just feels like, there was some like breakthrough in oil drilling. We've now gone deeper. Right? Like she's doing the kind of thing you know she can do, but it's like she's unlocked new depths.
I agree.
Florence Pugh and Oppenheimer.
It's a bold
you
choice.
have the floor.
Right. A smaller performance.
But an important one. I mean, like in terms of the movie's energy.
Important. And Blunt got all the attention this year, and a lot of that's Blunt being very overdue.
It's partly that. I will say
got
on
the one
rewatch
big scene at the end.
Right. I was like, she kind of does slay when she needs to. In
Blunt,
that
the highs and the lows. And that sometimes is a lot more effective for an Oscar nomination than like Steady Eddie or whatever.
And I obviously love Florence, Candace, LeBron, James, Bergen, Pugh. And part of this might just be, a thumb on the scale is recently my therapist really just throwing fucking haymakers at me.
They do love to do
I made offhand reference to the type of women I fall for, and she went, "Oh, you mean women with mood disorders?" And I was like, "Yeah, maybe there's a reason this performance has really stuck with me all year." David looking around.
You should see that therapist twice a week, maybe up to 3.
I told you recently.
Ben and I are like, yep.
I told you recently, and to any exes of mine listening to the podcast, that's referring to everyone but you. You're the one exception.
We may want to cut this out.
No, keep it in. My therapist also recently compared me to Branch from the Trolls franchise, the Justin Timberlake troll.
Oh, wow.
The grumpy troll.
And your response to that was, you need to stop seeing Lights, Camera, Jackson for therapy.
You are like Branch, though. And I guess I'm Princess Poppy. I guess that makes
the
me
most
Princess
infuriating
Poppy.
part was her take was pretty strong.
That makes a lot of sense. Who else do you have?
No, I think Pew. It's just like emotional volcanic, and we in our very long Oppenheimer episode didn't talk about it. But the part of that movie that destroys me is after he gets Emily Blunt pregnant, and she's like unconsolable on the floor crying. And he goes like, I proposed to you like 6 times. You didn't want to marry me.
Right.
And she says, but this is a door closing and that's always sad.
Right. Yeah, you're right. It's like after he gets Blunt pregnant, Pew is crying. Yeah. Right. Sorry. No, it's fine. Just yes. No, absolutely.
That energy to the performance of this woman who just kind of like cannot figure her own shit out.
Yeah.
And then it spends the rest of her life sort of like racked with.
Yeah, until the feds get her.
Who
else you got?
Those are my 5. Hong Chow, Paula Beer, Julianne Moore, Penelope Cruz, Florence Pugh. Julianne Moore, similarly, one of our best. A performance that is
she's actually amazing in that movie.
Embodiment of all the different types of things she's good at. It's such an insane tonal balancing act that's so in line with what Haynes is trying to do with the movie, where you're like, is this for real? Is this like...
It's so great to finally hear her natural speaking voice.
Finally. She was on Big Picture, and she talked about The Voice. And she's one of those actors who can speak about acting in a way that is incredibly intelligent and unpretentious and is brass tacks, where she's not sort of like, I don't know, I just wake up and I feel things. Like there is something very studious about her, but then she gives these performances that feel very organic.
Not to spoil, but there's a moment in Dune 2 where Rebecca Ferguson says, do the voice, and Florence Pugh just starts speaking in her regular normal voice, and it's quite effective.
Is that true?
No.
Be funny, though. Who else did you have?
I had Anne Hathaway in Eileen.
Yeah.
Comes in and supercharges the movie.
The story behind that, obviously, is the one point the director hands her a folded piece of paper and she opens it and it said, "What if you slayed?"
Yeah.
And she just proceeds to... That didn't actually happen, but it should have.
Eileen, I just want to say, and it may come up in another category later in this episode, that is a movie where the first 90% of it, I'm just like, why is everyone not talking about this? This is going to fucking fit into every category of the year.
And then the last part, and you're like, oh, I get it. Like,
and I was just like, this thing just crumbles in real time. There's not even like some horrible decision or like a twist that undoes it. It just feels like it kind of disintegrates.
It just doesn't land in a way where you're like, it all makes sense, or like, now I see how this is all.
It feels like it's building and building and building.
Yeah, it's got good vibes.
It's got incredible performances. It's got great vibes.
And Hathaway has to be this sort of like, you have to be the most beguiling thing that this person has ever seen. And she's like, yeah, I got it.
Yeah. I went to go see it with Romilly, my sister, and we're just sitting there going, like, fucking Anne's back. Like, we're so excited. Like, here she goes.
Yeah.
All right,
by the way, I may have seen an early version of an Anne Hathaway movie coming out this year that I do think will be the Anne is Back movie. Not
we love it.
I did Tilda and the Killer. You guys talked her up quite a bit in your episode.
She's a close miss for me, as is another candidate, Carrie O'Malley.
Oh, sure. Yeah.
Both incredible in that movie.
Oh,
you know who. Carrie O'Malley. She plays the secretary.
Yeah.
She's so good.
Great. She's great.
Tilda
with the classic like scene and a half of fire just shows up, orders a few flights of whiskey and kills it. And then David, you and I both have Rachel McAdams, who is just
luminous,
fantastic. Like, if you're gonna do a Judy Blume adaptation, you need a really great mom, I feel like, and she delivers. The scene everybody talks about, it's one of those ones that's like, yeah, everybody's talking about it, but they're doing it for a reason, like where she talks about her parents' situation.
And also, she's still not getting enough credit. Like, yes, all us critics shout her out, and she sort of was a runner-up for some, but she's
not one of those Tucci's that you were talking about, but she's a little level different, where it's like the Spotlight nomination was very good, but it's still very odd that that's the only thing.
Totally. And here's the other weird, rude thing, in my opinion. So many of the movie podcasts that I listen to, hosted by people I respect deeply, we're talking about, like, in anticipation, it's going to be so annoying when she gets snubbed for Are You There, God, It's Me, Margaret?
Yeah.
And they were like, what's it going to take for Rachel McAdams to finally get a nomination? Everyone kind of already forgets she got the Spotlight nomination.
Yeah.
Those slacks, they were so ill-fitting.
Yeah.
I considered dropping Divine Joy Randolph because she's obviously just like
one every very close for mine.
But I really actually love that performance, and it moved me quite profoundly. So she's making it for me.
Yeah.
As is, I feel the exact same way about Ruby Cruz. And then Maura Tierney's my winner. I'm going to say my winner.
Wow.
Nice.
I think the best acting of the year might be her trying to, like, not wanting to put on the dress for the second time.
Yeah.
Just kind of like one of the big movie moments of the year for me.
Also
and a
David favorite.
Yes. Exactly.
Yeah. And she's really operating from the margins of that movie too. And that's like, just pinch hitting.
The confidence of Durkin. Well, now I'm afraid. Should I spoil the Iron Claw?
That's a real life story. People know.
Spoiler alert to the Iron Claw. Water Noose is the fast forward a minute if you just don't want me to talk about a couple things at the end of the Iron Claw. To have a scene where characters enter heaven and greet each other as brothers.
I mean, yes. A scene that should not work.
Which shouldn't work.
This is the conversation I've had with 12 different people, and everybody comes out like, there's no way that should have worked. It absolutely works.
Nakedly hard on sleeve emotional scene.
Yeah.
And then the Efron final scene where the kids are talking to him is also hard on sleeve.
Yeah.
You know. But then to also have the scene where the dad comes home, she's just painting.
The painting.
And you just get everything from that, even though nothing is said of like what the future holds for them.
Yeah.
That movie's
the Report, the Scott Z. Burns movie, which is very good, and where I was like, oh, is this the start of like next
a little
era?
Tierney, like in her 50s, like
smart directors knowing how to give her these, and it feels like Iron Claw is continuing that, and there's probably going to be one that breaks through at a larger sort of public consensus way outside of us smart guys being hip to it now.
I was kind of hoping for this movie, but I think its Oscar chances were just hurt by coming out too late.
It came out very, very late. Yeah.
Who are your winners?
Penelope Cruz.
Vroom, vroom.
I'm going to use that to free myself up to give it to Julianne Moore.
Those are the winners. So let's do supporting actor.
Can I just call out a couple people who barely,
of course,
missed my cut?
Yeah, I'm just trying to keep the trains running.
I know.
We always happy birthday sign.
We do happy birthday sign.
I'm aware.
We do. Let's talk runners up.
I considered Haley Atwell in Dead Reckoning.
Yeah,
a performance I love.
She's good.
I really like her in that movie. She's great.
Obviously, I do feel like that performance is fighting against everyone's frustration over, let's just say, how Rebecca Ferguson has handled that movie.
Sure.
And I think people hold that against Haley Atwell, which is unfair.
It's unfair.
She has the moment in the train where he asked her if she's okay. That for me is my moment equivalent to the Maura Tierney moment you described, where I'm like, that's kind of the most incredible 5-second take of acting I saw.
I love the scene you're referencing. I love her.
I love her, but also kind
I did
of
not consider her
weird mid space between lead and supporting. I think for that performance,
yes, I would agree.
This is one where I'm like actually kind of fucked by the movie having 3 separate supporting actress candidates, and I couldn't pick one.
Gone.
Parker Posey,
Bo,
along with Patti LuPone.
Patti LuPone's on my
and
short
Zoe
list.
Lister-Jones.
Yeah.
And I was just like, the LuPone, Zoe Lister-Jones, it's one of the best 2 actors playing the same character I've ever seen.
Yeah, LuPone was certainly a late cut for me.
Yeah, she was.
So I don't know how to pick one of the 2 for that character.
Yeah.
And I was like, well, then you could go Parker Posey, but then it feels weird to them, and it ends up costing all 3 of them.
Sure.
Scarlett Johansson, Asteroid City.
Yep, she's great.
Sort of a quasi lead. I don't really.
Yeah, she's another
those West ensembles.
Right.
Yes.
And then this is one I feel like I've heard no one call out. And I perhaps like this movie a little less than other people, although I did like it. Catherine Hunter, Poor Things, I think is unreal.
She's very good. She sort of comes, that's when she comes in so late in that movie. And
I would say
is there pretty briefly.
She's great. I mean, and I love her.
Yeah.
I find that to be the most tiresome part of the movie, or at least the part of the movie where I'm starting to like lose energy.
Sure.
So maybe that's why I'm holding it against Catherine Hunter.
I just felt
and maybe I think she needs to explain the pacing of that movie to me.
Okay.
Yeah.
No. That's maybe, she's great.
Best supporting actor.
Joe,
Excuse me.
Do
you have other?
I do have exactly.
A few. I'm sorry.
I posted a little grid last night of I had like 12 finalists, and I'm like, so it's like I had some late cuts. Erica Alexander in American Fiction,
an incredible pick,
is so good.
One I consider.
My main reaction after walking out of that movie was like, I can't believe. I think she's so good at the romantic comedy thing. And if we made romantic comedies, if we would cast Erica Alexander as the lead in things, we'd be better off. I had Claire Foy in All of Us Strangers. I think she's really good. A movie I think the both of you like, The Burial, I saw very recently. I think Journey Smollett's very, very good in The Burial.
I agree. Yeah.
She has a couple really, really good scenes with Jamie Foxx.
Mamadou Athie also I considered.
Yeah.
I know
we're really good.
Jumping a category ahead, but he's really good in that.
Marin Ireland has one of those the movie. That's when the movie sort of like changes on a dime, but like she's really good in that.
Incredible monologue. Yes.
And then I know not a fave of the blank. Eileen. Yeah. Not a fave of the blank check verse, but I think Roz Pike is a scream in Saltburn. I think she's so funny.
I don't disagree with that.
Yeah.
but I also feel like Rosamund Pike is the Velveteen Rabbit, and that by being in in that movie, her exposure to a deadly illness is so severe that there's no choice but to put that performance in the incinerator. I love her and I love her work, but I'm like, if I give that any recognition,
I'm much higher on Saltburn than you guys are.
I think that movie should go to jail.
Oh, I think I don't know. I don't want to get too far into it, but like I'm in a very can't we just have fun kind of a place with that movie. I just think
that is where I was
silly and dumb and fun.
2/3, if not 3/4 of the movie. I was
definitely
totally there.
Yeah.
Can I say this without spoiling anything?
Are you gonna feel bad about spoiling Saltburn?
Here's my take where I'm just like, this movie has become indefensible.
Yeah.
It is not what happens in the quote unquote twist ending that made
they
me
feel like the need to explain it because it's so obvious what was happening.
Correct.
Yeah.
The end of that movie structures the reveal of its quote-unquote twist as if it's The Sixth Sense, and they're cutting back and showing you scenes and acting like, I bet this wasn't your read when you were watching it the first time. And in that moment, I go, if I wasn't supposed to be reading those scenes that way the first time, I have no idea what the fuck this movie is.
Right. No, it double bags itself for
stinky poop.
Dumb reasons.
Do you have any other supporting actresses you want to shout out? We do have to move on, but I want to shout out mine. Tantu Cardinal in Killers of the Flower Moon, the late cut for me. I already said, the Killer ladies. Obviously, I like them. Patty Lupone. I think those are the big ones for me. I'm trying to think if there's anyone else. Like, those are the big ones.
Sure.
Yeah.
We'll return to the 7th annual Blank Check Awards after a word from our sponsors.
David?
Yes.
I got a problem. I got a big issue.
What's that?
Well, when I'm looking for hand-selected, great cinema from around the world, I go to Mubi. I go to our friends at Mubi. I pull up Mubi.
We love Mubi.
That solves that problem for me.
Yep.
I got an unrelated issue that I don't think Mubi can solve.
What's that?
I don't know how to have sex.
Okay, listen.
I'm looking and listening.
Look. This episode is brought to you by Mubi, of course.
It is.
And they are presenting the new film, How to Have Sex.
Well, wait a second.
Which won the Uncertain Regard Prize at the Cannes Film Festival. And it follows these 3 British teenage girls on a rite of passage holiday where they're drinking and clubbing and hooking up in the streets of Malia, in Greece.
Feature debut from rising British filmmaker Molly Manning Walker, notably the cinematographer of Scrapper, one of your favorite movies of 2023.
An excellent film. But I do want to warn you that this is not really about how, like, the sex being had is often actually, quite, sort of complex and problematic. And it's about difficult situations that evolve. Like, it's definitely not a manual or anything like that.
It's not an instruction manual, but it's a film that I would enjoy watching.
It's a vibrant and authentic depiction of the agonies, ecstasies, and ride or die glory of young female friendship. It's a good movie. I've seen it.
I mean, this sounds like my kind of thing.
BAFTA nominee for British Film of the Year. It was at Sundance. It was at Cannes. It's gotten incredible reviews, and it's playing in theaters. And it is a cool movie to see in theaters because it is very sensory. It is, you are partying with these girls. Like, it's about this sort of crazy, sort of like overwhelming scene that they're in. So it's cool to be, locked in a theater with it, obviously.
Is Dr. Ruth still alive?
I believe Dr. Ruth is still alive.
Man, I'm definitely going to watch this film. It sounds right up my alley, but I'm also just like, I got to tackle this other problem on this side.
So you want to give her a call soon. But How to Have Sex is now playing only in theaters. Visit Mubi.com/How to Have Sex, one word, to see showtimes and get tickets. That's MUBI.com/How to Have Sex.
Best Supporting Actor.
Supporting actor. Go on, Griffin. You can do it.
Supporting actor. Who's presenting this? Who were our winners last year?
Great question. The answers, of course, are our supporting actresses, correct?
Yeah.
So for Griffin, it's Keke Palmer for Nope.
Cool.
Keke Palmer.
Category fraud. Kind of category. I'm calling bullshit on myself, but whatever.
That's where this
I made it work.
Campaigned her.
Yeah.
For me, it was Lashana Lynch, Woman King. And for you, it was Kate Hudson, Glass Onion. Wow.
Well,
Joe.
I stand by it.
Absolutely.
Wow. I stand by it.
Just so fun in that.
Yeah.
Okay. This is a vaguely wild category for me. Best supporting actor. Glenn Howerton in Blackberry. Ryan Gosling and Barbie was my kind of undeniable in this category.
I think more than fair.
Yeah. John Magaro showing up. Hugo Weaving, the Royal Hotel.
You fucker.
I fucking
Fuck
beat
you.
to
Fuck
it.
you.
You asked me to go
I'm
first,
taking him off then. I'm taking him off
You
mine.
asked me to go first.
Sorry, Hugo. You're off
You were
mine.
so
That was
clever.
Honestly, no, it was honestly mostly just to make you happy.
Okay.
I was hoping it would delight you.
No, he was in there. No question.
Yeah,
for
he's
me.
so good.
And then ready for my swerve? Corey Michael Smith in May, December.
Griffin.
He's good.
Mine in alphabetical order are John Magaro in Past Lives,
Mhm.
Holt McCallany in The Iron Claw,
Mhm.
Charles Melton in May, December,
Mm-hmm.
Antoine Reinartz in Anatomy of a Fall, and ready for my twist, Corey Michael Smith in May, December.
Hell yeah.
Is that hot lawyer or mean lawyer?
Mean
In
lawyer, who is
Anatomy.
also hot, but
They're both hot.
yeah,
Shaved head
They're both
lawyer?
hot.
Shaved head lawyer,
Yeah.
BPM lawyer. Yeah.
Yes, the
Oh,
France's
sure. Yeah.
sarcastic attorney general.
Oh my God, he's
Attorney
so
General
good in that
sarcasm.
movie. Yeah.
By the way, my mom who is French famously, loved Anatomy of a Fall. And I feel like most of us dumb American film people, David, you have said many, many times on this line of thinking, the greatest thing about Anatomy of a Fall is just realizing how insane French court is.
Was
They're-
my first reaction to that movie.
They're up to some business.
Yeah.
right. My mom
it's-
was like, oh, this movie's wildly unrealistic.
I don't care. I want.
and I
this
was
is
like,
what-
really? And she
this
was
is
like,
what
yeah, no, I
reality
think
to
the movie's
be.
great. French court's not like that.
What do you mean? It's just like a big town hall.
I would trust my mom. I think she's been prosecuted for murder 20
My favorite thing about it, which I believe is just that everyone's just kind of there.
Yeah.
And like the defendant can kind of be like, wait, that's bullshit.
Yeah.
The judge will be like, all right, you can talk in a second. Hush, hush, hush. You know, like it's a lot of
And
that.
he's also like, that's bullshit. Don't you think that's bullshit? Like, yeah.
No, but my favorite thing is just the guys reading the book is like, oh, the book is pretty stupid, huh?
Yeah.
You know, like that can be like evidence.
Not good. Pas bien.
You're bisexual. Does that mean you want to murder your husband?
Très mal.
I have Robert Downey Jr. in Oppenheimer,
Mhm.
Robert De Niro in Killers of the Flower Moon,
Mhm.
Glenn Howard in Blackberry,
Mhm.
Kiefer Sutherland in the K-Mutiny Court Martial,
Cool. Considered it cool.
and Jamie Bell in All of Us Strangers.
Great pick.
Great.
Those
I
are my
of course
was my close
disqualify
six. Jamie Bell's
anyone
my
who has
close
ever
six.
been on the podcast. That is my internal
right.
rule.
I super qualify them.
Yeah.
They actually get double votes. He's amazing in that movie.
He is.
We can talk.
He's very, very good.
Yeah.
Those were my 5, but I had Hugo certainly as a contender. We can discuss.
You talk about,
others.
you saw Royal Hotel.
Ugh.
He comes on screen.
Ugh.
You're like, is that Hugo Weaving? And then you caught yourself. I'll let you say the thing.
No, you say it. I think I told you this though, right? Where
You
I was
caught
like,
yourself. You were,
he doesn't look like this. Like it's just someone who looks like Hugo Weaving.
right, and you were just like, that's like dumb of me to think all
Exactly.
Australian
like,
men.
oh, he's a middle-aged Australian actor.
Yeah.
It must be Hugo Weaving.
That was me watching Sam Neill in Hunt for the Wilder People.
Yes.
Where I was like,
yeah.
This
Yeah.
is like
Can't
that
be.
times a million.
yeah.
He's so good in it though.
He is. He rocks in it. I think he's kind of the best thing about it, and I generally
like that
like
movie
it.
a lot. Yeah. That's another movie that arguably kind of falls apart in the last 10 minutes
It's a movie that doesn't
in
know
an
how to end.
Eileen way of just like, we don't know how to end this.
Does not know what to
Yeah.
do with the ending.
Yeah.
And I will say also, Robert Downey Jr. is standing with the cast of Oppenheimer as well. Like, you know, you
Yes.
gotta not like what a supporting actor movie that is.
It is a feast.
If you had to
yes.
pick out 5 from that cast, like of the supporting cast,
Top
of that,
5?
like, yeah, like
David's rolling up
Let's go.
sleeves.
Let's
Like-
go. Him,
yeah,
Crummy.
obviously. Krumholtz, obviously.
Yeah.
I think Safdie kind of I want him there.
If we're given 5
Sam
slots,
Safdie,
just
I gotta
to
say,
say it.
Damon, who I adore.
Sure.
Same.
And Casey Affleck is my fifth.
oh, Casey Affleck's a good pick.
Because
Yeah.
just one of those things where he has 2 minutes of screen time.
Yeah.
For
Yeah.
him to be such a seething evil creature in the like, you just see his face and you're like, oh, Oppenheimer shouldn't have talked to this guy. This guy's crazy.
I like murdering people.
Oh, you say he's a communist. Oh, that's interesting. You mind if I write that down in my little book?
Yeah.
My book that says people I'm going to do mean things to.
Were you going to give it to Rami? Who are you saying say it about?
No, I just wasn't sure who your 5th was going to be. You were
Hartnett's
hesitating.
great.
I would
Hartnett's
put
great.
Hartnett.
Hartnett would be in my 5.
Well, Hartnett's in my 5 like hunkiest.
Downey Jr., Jason Clarke, I think, is my number
Clark's
2.
great.
He's
Everyone's
really
great.
good.
He's
Yeah.
really, really good, especially in the scene with Emily Blunt.
You know
which
who
is
I
Emily
love?
Blunt's best scene.
Who?
Actually, I'm not going to say it.
Okay.
I'll bring that up later. But you know
Oh.
who else I love? Tom Conti as
Oh, Tom
Einstein.
Conti's
Wonderful.
great.
Wonderful.
I love Alden Ehrenreich as much as he's a Sorkin character. I love
him. I love James Urbaniak looking at the trees.
He actually rocks. I mean, obviously we love James, but like he really that seems lovely.
Krumholtz in his mauve crushed velvet suit at the SAG Awards.
Krumholtz is having a lovely.
He really
Oscar
is having
season,
a lovely Oscar season. It's
should I call it here?
What?
2024, we're getting Krumholtz on the podcast.
I don't think that's in
of
dispute, really.
I
think if we want to make it happen, we can make it happen.
That's me saying there are lines of communication, and I feel like I want to make the resolution here.
Shot. Yeah,
the commitment that we're going to make that happen.
So
we both nominated John McGarber for separate films.
Yes,
but he's great in both.
Undeniably,
he's great in both.
Kind of a great year
Perhaps.
for him. Coming off a couple great years.
But like it's also the alpha and the omega. Yes. Like in showing up, he's playing this character who's like so besieged by something we don't fully understand, right?
It's a major work as he's digging a hole.
Right. Yeah. And then in past lives, the fucking brimming alpha confidence of this guy of like, go see the person you've been sort of entangled with your whole life. I'll be here playing Xbox. You're going to come right back to me, baby.
But see, I would say...
Because I love you and you love me.
My read's a little different because I feel like his energy isn't, I know you'll come back to me. His energy is, there's nothing I could do
what will be
to change this outcome.
Yeah.
No, I think
if we're supposed to
anything
be together,
that I could
you come
try
back
to
to
do will make this
make it worse.
Yeah.
But to me, that's alpha energy.
Yes. I mean, the scene when we revisit...
no, don't go see him. You've done too many Skype calls with him.
When you loop back to the opening of the film...
Yeah.
And there's the extended version of the scene of him watching them speak and him just sitting there silently at the bar.
Yeah.
Glenn Howard and Blackberry.
Oh, great yeller. One of the great yellers.
Yeah. This is kind of, I almost feel like in a year where you didn't have like 4 humongous movie stars basically locked into supporting performance nominations from Best Picture contenders. Like huge leading men.
Yeah.
He's the kind of guy who might have bumped in off the bubble.
Here's the problem with what Blackberry was, is that Blackberry, I think a lot of people thought it was a television thing because there were so many television things that were about, here's this product. You want to know how this product came into being? Yeah. I bet you do. Like that kind of thing.
And instead it's like the first great version of that in 10 years.
Yeah.
It's an incredible movie. But Glenn Howard, it's just like incredible. I was talking to my friend about it and he was like, do you find that a lot of people, the way they talk about his performance is almost a little condescending? Where they're like, I didn't know this guy could act.
Good job by you, Glennie. Yeah, right.
It's just like, no, like whether or not you love Always Sunny, it was just always clear this guy had like a greater emotional range in him. And what's interesting about that character is how horrendous he makes that guy.
I mentioned this on my podcast, but one of the great things that the Blackberry performance has done is helped resurface the Glenn Howerton does his CCH Pounder impersonation clip, which is just brings my day up every time I watch it. It's so fantastic.
Ryan Gosling and Barbie is just, for my money, one of the 2 incredible comedic performances of the year, and I always feel like I need to call out at least one of those.
I also think he didn't even make my ballot, but I do think it's like kind of the performance of the year in a way.
I was watching it and every 3 seconds he did something I thought was funny, and it's not like, here's my big take on it. It is the opposite of Jason Momoa in Fast X, my single least favorite performance of the year.
Yeah.
Where that just feels like him going, what's the weirdest thing I can do at every moment that will be perfect fucking GIF bait? Versus Ryan Gosling is doing something funny every 3 seconds, but it's based on such a weirdly specific handle on that character's psychology. And the character psychology is almost his lack of a psychology. And the way he'll react to everything is just like, fuck, that's so funny because that's exactly the face that guy would make.
Ryan Gosling's going to get me to watch that piece of shit looking Fall Guy movie.
I'm gonna, not only is he going to get me to watch it, I'm going to go opening weekend and I'm going to be like, this one's going to be good, right?
Yeah.
Leach is going to be good. Maybe Leach gets it right this time.
The thing with Gosling is he's the kind of actor who actually makes few enough things that I'm always excited.
Same.
Mm-hmm.
He did make The Gray Man. That's the one I always forget about when he was the Gray Man.
The Gray Man.
The Gray Man. Yeah. Yes.
But apart from that, I pretty much always love Gosling.
Yeah.
Was everybody in The Gray Man good in something else this year? Because I know
Evans wasn't in something in this year.
Oh, well then, I was thinking of Regé-Jean Page.
You better not be fucking teeing up that you're giving fucking Chris Evans a Pain Hustlers lead nomination. You loved Ghost.
I took the permission slip to not see Pain Hustlers once. Nobody talked about Pain Hustlers.
Do you know Chris Evans' last theatrically released film?
What?
Knives Out.
Oh, theatrically released was Knives Out.
Yeah, if you don't count Lightyear.
I guess I count that.
I love
He's
Chris
all
Evans,
over it.
and I need Chris Evans to love himself.
I'm going on 5 years of making the worst streaming bullshit in the world. And let's see, coming up next is Red 1.
Yeah.
A new take on holiday mythology based on an idea by The Rock's ex-brother-in-law.
I've heard he's like at least circling like
the Celine Song movie.
Right. Like more interesting stuff. Right.
But I've also heard about him turning some shit down recently in a way that made me
like,
He's also going to be in the second Ethan Coen lesbian movie.
Is he?
Supposedly. Honey, don't.
Well, I hope so.
Did somebody just whisper something to George W. Bush that there's a second Ethan Coen lesbian movie?
Supposedly he has a trilogy
Mr. President
he wants to make, and luckily he has to make those movies in 15 minutes.
Yeah, for sure.
I don't think it'll be that hard.
There's a bunch of scripts in the drawer.
Howard and Amazing, though, I completely agree.
Yeah.
I mean, my guys left off the list were like the actual Oscar nominees. It's like Downey Jr., Oppenheimer, De Niro, Killers of the Flower Moon, Sterling K. Brown.
You had Corey Michael Smith instead of Charles Melton. I said in addition to Charles
and I'm lowering my glasses and saying maybe this will come up again later.
Corey Michael Smith,
I think, is fair.
Jumps off of that screen.
Yes.
The second you see him, even just when he's still on that stage and just being like a little bitch.
He's got like 3 scenes. He's got less than 10 minutes.
He's so good.
But you're just like, there's kind of a complete arc to his 3 scenes in the movie.
Yep.
And it's like, you've heard about the character some. A lot of his characterization comes from other people talking about him.
Yep.
The second he arrives on screen, you're like, I know fucking everything about this guy. Every decision he's making is telling you something about. It's the perfect kind of a guy who is so traumatized and is working so hard to cover it up and be like, I'm in on the joke. I'm telling you I'm fucked up. You can't judge me.
I'm mad that this casting Oscar is going to happen 2 years too late for me to bitch about May December not getting nominated for
Certainly
casting.
A feat of casting.
Because like everybody in that May December cast, all those, their kids and whatnot are all so fucking good.
Also just, the way that movie is like, Natalie brings it to him.
Yep.
Natalie's going to be in it.
Yeah.
He's like, I'm Todd Haynes. He hits 1 on his phone,
which
calls Julianne Moore.
Yes. Right. And 2 at this point is maybe Corey Michael Smith.
Corey Michael Smith and a bunch of his.
So obvious casting decisions that obviously make sense. But then like someone like Melton, where it's like, they don't have him in mind.
The kids are incredible in it.
Right, exactly. The kids are great. Like all the, it is a beautifully cast.
The lawyer, her ex-husband, like all those performances are incredible. Corey Michael Smith, I think, is always great.
The bees
jumped out.
I mean, butterflies. Fuck.
Jesus.
Beautiful butterflies.
Corey Michael Smith playing Chevy Chase in the Reitman SNL movie.
Oh, yeah.
Intriguing
to me. I'm into that. David, I definitely thought you were going to do Holt McCallany for the Iron Claw. You went the other way with the Iron Claw.
He's on my long list for sure. He's excellent.
Holt McCallany's one of those people I'm like, that's a David guy. Like,
I love him. Yeah.
I think one of your classic Simsisms, you referred to him once as a cube on top of another cube.
He looks like a Minecraft character. He does, which compliment to be clear. I'm sure if I told him that, he'd throw me through a wall.
But, like, what's stunning?
He's also amazing in the first scene of Iron Claw where he's younger and it's black and white.
Yeah.
And he's the wrestler.
I watched some YouTube clips of the real.
I mean, he's on my best
of the
dad.
Fun Eric.
Of course. No, perfect father.
Great dad.
I watched clips of the real guy. It is astonishing how close it is. And not in a way where it's like, what an amazing transformation.
Right.
Where you're just like, I think Durkin's even talked about this, that he's like been a Holt fan for a while. He's trying to figure out who to cast. And he's like, is that too obvious?
Right. Yeah.
Like,
is he going to feel unchallenged?
Yeah.
And in a certain way, that character is kind of like one note. But the point of the character is that he's sort of stuck on one note.
Yeah.
And Holt finds a way to play him in a way that is not repetitive.
Right.
Yeah.
Who else you got? Come on, let's keep going.
I mean, Antoine Reinhardt's.
I've called out all my guys.
Okay,
yeah.
Okay, so he's being lawyer. Now, I do want to shout out Hot Lawyer as well.
Hot Lawyer's great.
Who is so handsome.
Lawyer's
Here's
very
the
good.
thing
What a
he
head
has
of hair
going
on
for
that
him
guy.
is that he is hot.
Yeah.
And it's interesting. And there's a counterpoint because inside all of us,
tired and kind of like stressed, you know.
Inside all of us, there are 2 lawyers.
Right.
One with a lot of hair.
One with a
none.
great head of hair and he's hot. One with a bald
one,
head. He's a little
one who
bitch.
looks tired.
Yeah.
One who has too much energy.
Yep.
Antoine Reiner's very good in BPM several years ago.
Yeah. David, who were your others?
I had Downey. We already talked about that. De Niro, I'll just say, is my winner. I think that's one of the great performances he's ever given.
Wearing the Mr. Burns goggles.
It's on his top tier.
And yes, I give that award 5 awugas from a vintage car. Kiefer Sutherland is one of those performances where, because Kiefer has like acquired this reputation as this sort of like, oh, like he's kind of this like weird, fuck up, right? And like, so you're kind of like, oh, are they just tapping into that? But like that performance revolves around his too big. I mean, the movie revolves around his too big testimony,
and it's,
right?
It's a bizarre stylized performance.
Exactly. Like when you realize, no, this is so many choices being made, and the first time where he's trying to come across as like, well, I mean, this is all very ridiculous, but of course I'll tell you what happened.
And
he's like talking out of the side of his mouth.
Balls in the hand. I remember seeing the trailer for that movie, and that's a hard movie to trailer.
Yeah, sure.
But going like, oh, Kiefer looks like a disaster in this.
Right.
He cannot lock into a smaller register anymore. And then you watch the film, and you're like, it actually makes perfect sense in the context of the full movie around him.
I agree. I do think some people are still bumping up against that performance. Also, Lance Reddick is incredible in that movie. Like
Reddick, I really liked. I didn't love that movie, but like
peace.
Reddick's really good. And the Kiefer thing that I liked was it's sort of in conversation with his A Few Good Men character.
Yeah,
in a way that I find very, very fascinating. Yeah.
And Jamie Bell, I don't really like that movie at all. He was the thing that worked for me best.
Oh, I love that movie.
Yeah, I love that movie.
In that classic Jamie Bell way of just like, this guy has found the emotional center of this so fast.
It's the best. And I'm sorry, Jamie, but I refuse to ever nominate you again because you've been on the show. I gave you the Rocket Man nomination. Also, return our recording equipment whenever
anybody
you get
who wants thinking about guesting on Blank Check. Just beware.
I'll give it a nomination if he sends back the microphone.
No, he can keep it.
He can
keep it for all of us.
He's
strangers.
a cutie pie.
Who are your winners, guys?
Charles Melton in May December. I guess I didn't talk about him. Great, fucking great.
He's great.
Yeah,
and he holds his own.
Yeah, with Natalie Portman and
I do not mean that in a patronizing way.
No.
I would feel that way about a top tier actor.
Yes.
It's also a performance that is by design bottled in a movie where two actresses are going really big.
Yeah.
It's hard to go small and hold your own.
Well, and he doesn't ever actually like go into like fugue state baby little like it's just but he evokes that while being an actual adult. You know what I mean? Like he doesn't take that shortcut.
Yeah.
And it's a good choice.
My winner is Ryan Gosling and
great choice. Here are the Blankies 10.
Okay.
10, Glenn Howerton. 9, Penelope Cruz. 8, Julianne Moore. Tied for 6, Rachel McAdams and Robert De Niro.
Okay.
Exact tie, it seems. 5th, Mark Ruffalo. None of us mentioned. I do think
he's only not on mine
that
because
film.
he's an Oscar nominee. Like I gave myself
Oh, you don't like Ruffalo? I'm seeing. I don't like Ruffalo.
I think
from
he's
Griffin.
a lot of fun in that movie.
Yeah.
I certainly, if I were to nominate someone from Poor Things, I would go Defoe over Ruffalo,
sure.
but I would say neither of them were within my 10.
I like Ruffalo a lot.
I rewatched Poor Things. The first time I saw
like
Poor
that
Things,
movie.
terrible circumstances. The rewatch, very chill circumstances. He's just really funny. Him losing it is just kind of top tier. Like, and it's kind of it's a cousin to the Gosling performance of like the minute she's like, "What? I let someone else eat me out," and he's just like, you just watch all of his confidence shatter.
The Gosling performance, yes, I guess it gets me more. It's a matter of taste.
Sure.
Yeah.
3, Divine Joy Randolph. 2, Robert Downey Jr. 1, Charles Melton. A very strong year for supporting acting.
Interesting, but
Griffin
Ruffalo the
might
only
dispute some things.
No, I generally agree with that.
Best Original Screenplay. Best Adapted Screenplay.
I went a little wild on these because I was like, let me cover some things I'm not hitting in other categories.
Go on then.
For best original screenplay,
Yes.
Asteroid City.
Yeah. Wes Anderson.
May, December.
Yes. Sammy Birch and the story is by Alex Mechanic. Yeah.
Amanda.
Oh, you love that movie.
I think one of the great debut films of the year.
And that film was written by Amanda.
No.
Looks like it was written by Carolina Cavelli.
Yes, who also wrote Fremont.
Yeah.
Yes.
A movie I love, and I was so happy to see it win in the
breakout year
Spirit
for her.
This year.
Beau is Afraid.
No, Ari Aster.
Still eligible because he's never been on this podcast.
It was written by Ari Aster and a giant penis.
Yes.
That lives in his head.
Yes.
And Fallen Leaves.
Fantastic. We have a lot of similarity, my friend, which is I also have Wes Anderson for Asteroid City and Ari Aster for Beau is Afraid and Aki Kaurismäki for Fallen Leaves. And then I had Jonathan Raymond and Kelly Reichardt for Showing Up.
Good call.
And A.V. Rockwell for 1001.
A blind spot for me.
Mine are Justine Triet. Is it Triet?
Sure.
I've been screwing that one up all season for Anatomy of a Fall. Wes Anderson for Asteroid City. Doug Wright and Maggie Betts for The Burial. Again, a late edition for me.
Bury him.
Sammy Birch and Alex Mechanic for May December, and Celine Song for Past Lives.
Who are your winners?
Asteroid City.
May December.
Now here's what's tricky. I'd say those are the two that I was stuck between.
Well, let's say that you gave it to them. Who's your third
I'm going to pick a winner.
Okay.
It's interesting because it's like there are what I value most in each of those two is very different.
Yeah.
I'm like, May December sets up a number of character dynamics that I could think about for years, right? Like watching that movie, I was like, this could go on another 10 hours. I would never get tired of watching different combinations of these characters in different environments react to things. Asteroid City is just like the ultimate heightening of Wes's insane obsession with like Russian nesting doll structure and creating like frames around his story to talk about the frames that we use to tell stories.
And that he uses, yes.
Right. And it's a movie that I may be like a little less than you, but also because I've been hotter on the last couple Wes movies than you were.
I don't know why that would affect how you feel about Asteroid City, one of the great films ever made. The more I think about it
from a script level, it is kind of astounding.
It's the best piece of writing of the year, in my opinion. Which is why it's my winner.
You guys make your cases and then I'll pick who
My winner is Asteroid City.
Yeah, my winner is May December.
I'll give you the Blankies while you... Here are who the Blankies picked. The Holdovers, which is a lovely screenplay, I think. Anatomy of a Fall, Asteroid City, Past Lives, May December #1. So they were 4 for 5 with the Oscar picks, right?
Interesting. Yeah.
Only Asteroid City missed there. What was the Oscar 5th?
The Oscar 5th for original?
Yeah, this year.
Why am I already forgetting?
It was Maestro, which I forget is original.
Yeah, that's...
But it's technically not based on a specific book. That's why.
You can't credit all of the Bernstein children for as a source.
They do.
They are doing
I'm going to go Asteroid City because I gave May December supporting actress and I want to spread the love.
Well, there you go.
Best adapted screenplay.
Woohoo.
Do you want me to start?
Yes, please. Let's mix it up.
Oppenheimer, Christopher Nolan. Killers of Flower Moon, Eric Rothman.
Remember how I wrote like a full song and it had multiple lyrics and it wasn't just me saying Killers of the Flower Moon River? Genocide is sad.
Wow, my picks are really boring. Barbie, Blackberry, and Dungeons & Dragons Honor Among Thieves.
Nice.
Jonathan Goldstein.
I'd say, in a certain way, the least surprising nomination of the year. Equivalent to like the announcement that Emily Blunt is playing Mary Poppins, and the Globes were like, "Do you want us to carve out?"
Should we just fucking book a table for you?
Yeah.
Mine are All of Us Strangers, Andrew Haig. Are You There, God? It's Me, Margaret, Kelly Fremon Craig, Barbie, Greta Gerwig and Noah Baumbach, Killers of the Flower Moon, Eric Roth and Martin Scorsese, Oppenheimer, Christopher Nolan.
My nominations for Best Adapted Screenplay: Oppenheimer, Killers of the Flower Moon, Blackberry,
beep beep,
All of Us Strangers, Godzilla -1.
I loved Godzilla -1.
An incredible movie. I guess it's adapted by, it's like based on Godzilla, right? Like that's where we're going.
I
have different rules.
You're sometimes persnickety about what qualifies as adapted, but I'm like, that one is so specifically coasting off of the original.
If Barbie is adapted because it's Barbie, then I think Godzilla can be adapted.
I'm going by Oscar rules, but I bought Barbie sort of as original. I don't know. I don't know how to.
I would have been fine if they.
I think it's adapted, but I would say Godzilla -1 is more adapted off of the original Godzilla than most Godzilla films are just adapted off of Godzilla as a general idea.
You mean Godzilla X Kong is less faithful to the
possibly.
Okay.
Well, -1's like a prequel, and it's really kind of like circling back to the original themes of the 54 movie. And I think it is.
Yeah, so was Godzilla X Kong.
Yeah.
Are we really supposed to say it that way? Godzilla X Kong?
We're not supposed to say anything about that movie.
Okay.
It should not be. They should just re-release Godzilla -1 again. Be like, go see it.
Godzilla -2 would also
maybe it'll be fun. I have no idea.
No, Godzilla -1 made more here than it did in Japan. And I also feel like Shin Godzilla outgrossed Godzilla -1 Japan. Because when this crossed over so huge in the States, people were like, oh, so this in Japan, people must assume.
Yeah, they must be
their favorite Godzilla movie of all time, right? And it's like, it was very popular and well-liked there.
Yeah.
I do think it is weirdly it is the Japanese Godzilla movie with the most Western storytelling sensibilities.
Yeah.
And part of that is, it is the first Godzilla movie, I would say, to successfully totally crack a human narrative that is completely engaging from beginning to end, that feels directly tied to Godzilla.
It almost feels like it could, like it couldn't, but like it long parts of it could exist independently of Godzilla. It could just be about like a guy trying to like recover from the war.
And there are other Godzilla movies that have that, but then the Godzilla elements feel extraneous from
a
that.
little tacked on.
It's the one where I'm like 50, 60 years into making Godzilla movies.
Yeah.
70, they cracked the perfect way to do that.
I like that movie a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is a strong year for adaptation.
It's
like Oppenheimer. It's like, I read that book. Turning that into a functional movie is really impressive. I read Flower Moon. What they did with that is this feat of adaptation where they took what they wanted and ignored what they didn't. And that's risky. You know, that's cool. BlackBerry, I mean, like the phones are so small.
They're so small.
How do you adapt a whole phone?
A keyboard? Like, I don't understand it. Like,
and Dungeons and Dragons, it's a monster manual. You're going to turn this into a movie?
Yeah.
It's just like giving you entries.
All of Us Strangers, a movie Joe and I liked a lot more than
maybe
David.
this is where I can, because it makes more sense than when I do my Best Picture, spoiler. No, I think I get where it doesn't work for everybody, obviously. To me, it's not to like play the like personal experience card, but like it is the rare gay movie that speaks to like the Gen X experience specifically, which is very, very, very much the sort of like wilderness in the middle of like the AIDS generation of the 80s and the sort of marriage equality sort of, you know, prep kind of age. And
I'm sorry, I'm just, not to cut you off. I'm so confused. You remember The Whale came out last year, right? The ultimate
that's
Gen X homosexual text.
Well, honestly, not to like give The Whale any credit, but like the fact that The Whale is about somebody who hates himself so spectacularly that it like completely ruined his life, like that doesn't not apply to the like
all the strangers,
well,
or to like the thing you're talking about.
The fact that there's this in between gay generation where it was like, who grew up so terrified of sex.
And there's a little bit of like survivor's guilt.
And survivor's guilt is in there, but like all media was desperately telling you, like, for God's sake, be careful because this will kill you. And then it's like, okay, well, now we're supposed to be asked to like relate to this newer generation who has none of that baggage whatsoever. And it does sometimes feel like you are this sort of like specter in between. And you also had like the, you know, this generation of like still trying to recover from whatever trauma existed from, even if you weren't able to come out to your parents, you still had that fear of, so it's like all of that stuff. I thought Andrew Haigh really, really synthesizes it really well. To me, the ghost story thing really worked. And I get where like, that's the thing that's probably the sticking point for a lot of people.
Which ghost story? Not to reveal that, you know.
Sure. I think that's
Mr.
almost a spoiler in of itself. Mr. Waternoose is the ultimate villain at the end.
Right.
I agree that all of it works. I think that movie makes a story swing at the end.
It does.
That's similar to a twist that is similar to Iron Claw in This Shouldn't Work, and it worked for me. I could see other people going, I'm out. That's one thing too many.
Well,
for me, it worked.
If the idea is like, oh, well, I guess none of this was real and whatever. And my thing is like, oh, no, like that's an actual, like the ghost of that person.
Let's talk very vaguely here. But I related less personally to that film on a level of sexual identity or what have you. But I watched it and I think I just forgot any of the background leading up to it. And I was like, oh, this movie is based on Andrew Haigh's own personal experiences, one-to-one, that he then mapped this magical, realist, supernatural element on. And I was astounded to then be reminded, oh, right, this is based on a book.
Yeah.
The book is fairly different. Yeah. His parents are still alive.
Right. His parents are still alive.
It is a film that feels
But he said those are his...
Of course.
Like, obviously, he is very... and it was shot in his childhood home.
Yes. It is just a film. I think that's what I find so fascinating about it as an adaptation, is he took a pre-existing work and he added elements that are so personal into it that it feels like every element of this came out of his own personal experience, when in fact it's an interesting
the Japanese
adaptation.
Novel, right. It's like, it is about a person communing with their parents as ghosts.
Sure.
But I think it has more of a horror-y kind of like he's kind of getting trapped by them.
Yeah.
And Mr. Waternoose, it turns out, needed the energy from that to power Monsteropolis.
From being sad by talking to your dead parents. My winner is Blackberry.
Yes, click, click. Matt Johnson and Matthew Miller are the writers on that.
I think an incredible film, a film I've watched 2 times and then a 3rd time on the TV cut.
I won't be watching the TV cut.
I would say it's pretty skippable.
Yeah, it seemed like they made the movie they wanted to make.
Correct.
Wasn't the TV cut kind of like like required by like the Canadian Broadcasting Company or whatever. Those Canadians.
Yeah, it was a weird
They're always up to no good.
contingency of its funding. And I was just like, well, I like this movie so much, I wouldn't mind watching extra footage. And then you watch it and you're like, there's maybe 5 minutes of extra footage.
Yeah.
Most of the extra running time is just adding credit sequences.
Right. And also like, you know, ads for Canadian films and TIFF and Royal Bank of Canada.
With ads. I did a 1 week free trial of AMC Plus and then canceled it immediately.
Who's your winner, Joe?
My winner is actually Barbie. It's one of those things where it's just like very similar to what I thought about Little Women, where it was just like, oh, like you really did that. You were really able to like take this property and like bring something completely new and interesting and thought-provoking out of it. And it's one of those things where it's like,
congrats on falling for a toy commercial. Yeah, capitalist.
Well, the other thing is just like, she's so good at this kind of thing. And it's like, oh, are we just sort of like going to encourage Greta to keep going for like more and more like, this shouldn't be a movie, but like watch me do my magic. And it's like, part of me does want her to like, I would like another Frances Ha at some point. I would like another, Lady Bird at some point.
That would be nice.
Look,
sure.
Yeah. I wouldn't say I have a specific thing of like, I want her to do this over this.
Sure.
The only
I will
thing
watch
I feel
whatever she
same. I'm in that boat right now.
Yeah.
The only thing I feel strongly about is I'm disappointed she does seem to be going straight into Narnia, only because
Literally.
I like.
She's
opened the door.
Unreachable at this point. Like,
she had some Turkish delight.
She's been working on that for a while. She had it set before Barbie. Barbie obviously was so huge, got elected president of the United States.
Amazingly so.
Yeah. But I was just like, the post-Barbie position, she could make whatever she wants. She could make her Waterworld now, and if she makes the greatest calamity imaginable,
she should make
Netflix would let her go back and make Narnia after that.
Sure.
I'm like, Narnia is a safe rebound from anything she does next.
Yeah. Yeah, that's fair.
But if she wants to do Narnia, then I'm interested in seeing what her take on Narnia is. She's in that zone for me now, where like anything she wants to do, I'm interested to see why she wants to do that.
My winner is Killers of the Flower Moon, which I think is a really a silly snub by the Young Oscars.
Agreed.
But I can't remember what snuck in. Again, it was sort of like American Fiction is possibly going to win in that category at the Oscars, which is nice. I like that movie. Zone of Interest, like, was the surprise Oscar contender there. That movie is an adaptation of a book in that it has the title of the book.
And that's a
it.
very unconventional adaptation that it basically disregards.
And it is an excellent screenplay in its way.
Yeah.
But I really think that movie's more
even weirder though, than not only just getting snubbed, it's the only Best Picture nominee that is not nominated for its screenplay.
Flower Moon.
Yeah.
That's interesting.
It's weird.
Yeah, silliness. Okay. The Blankies gave it to Oppie was their winner. There You Got Me, Margaret was 5th. Poor Things was 4th.
Okay.
Barbie 3rd. Flower Moon, Oppie.
I should say Zone of Interest is my most embarrassing blind spot this year that I still have not.
Yeah, you're a coward.
Seen. I'm a coward.
Back to the Blankies after these messages. We're back, baby. It's the Blankies.
Best animated film, my 5: Suzume, Boy and the Heron, Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse, Leo.
Oh, I didn't see
Leo. Funniest movie of 2020.
Katie Rich tells me Leo's very good. Yeah.
Leo fucking hits. Have you watched Leo yet, David?
Nope. I'd like
Jesus.
to.
Leo has a character I will not ruin. I would say is the only character that trumps. It's not Leo. Okay. Although Leo is great in it.
Okay.
We do like Leo.
We love the titular role.
Sure, of course.
There is a character in it that I would say is the funniest character of the year over Ken and Barbie for me.
Okay.
And I won't spoil it because when the character's introduced, you're like, well, that's not a character.
Right.
And the journey you go on, it's very rewarding. My 5th nominee, Ruby Gilman, Teenage Kraken.
Really?
No movie was done more dirty this year.
Yeah, I didn't see it probably because it was.
She's a good kid.
Given to understand that
Rudy Gilman put up some Drive Away Dolls numbers on the box office.
Yeah. No, I think a fun-ass movie, incredible, like rubber hose, old fucking iWork style animation done with modern technology. Just fun-ass shit.
Wow, I didn't see enough animated movies this year.
I kind of didn't. I had 4, and I haven't seen Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles: Mutant Mayhem yet.
That's on my
sort of
list.
waiting because I think I will like that. But I had Boy and the Heron and Spider-Verse. I had Nimona, which I really was surprised how much I love. Nimona's very, very fun.
Yeah.
And then Robot Dreams is kind of my number one.
I still need to watch Robot Dreams.
So good.
My therapist keeps recommending it.
A lot of beep boop,
Lights,
but
Camera,
like
Jackson.
good stuff. Yeah. I think Robot Dreams feels like a Griff movie.
I'm gonna look.
I have Boy, Spidey, Turtles, Suzume, and then I guess Mario Brothers is the default fifth, just in terms of like I haven't seen enough movies.
Well, and here's
but
what
Mario's. I will say Mario is keeping Elemental out of there. I will put Mario. I think Mario is a more accomplished piece of entertainment than an Elemental.
Elemental's bad.
Can I make an executive decree here?
Sure.
I think you're not allowed to nominate Mario.
No,
I think you have to only nominate 4 films.
No, I'm allowed to nominate Mario. I think Mario is successful.
Oh,
I don't like it that much.
I disagree strongly.
Yeah. Wow, he disagrees strongly.
Best voiceover performance.
Yeah, who you got? Chris Pratt?
Adam Sandler and Leo.
Chris Pratt?
Because the character I love doesn't really talk.
Chris Pratt?
Haley Steinfeld across the Spider-Verse.
She's so good.
Incredible.
Chris Pratt?
The lead of the movie. Bradley Cooper, Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3.
Absolutely.
Finishing up some of a trifecta of some of his best work.
Apex shit from him, I would agree.
Some of his best work. I'm gonna just as the tip of the hat, I'm gonna go. Annie Murphy is very good in Ruby Gilman, Teenage Kraken.
Okay.
As the villain.
Is she from
spoiler from Schitt's Creek?
Schitt's Creek, and she plays Mr. Waternoose?
Correct. And then a movie, I'll say it. This is the opportunity to say it. Yeah. I found very funny watching on Peacock at 1 o'clock in the morning.
Okay.
I think Jamie Foxx is kind of unreal in Strays.
Oh, sure. I never saw Strays.
I did not see Strays.
We've been talking about The Burial being the Jamie Foxx reminding us all why he's a fucking movie star performance.
Right.
Strays, I'm like, right, Jamie Foxx is funny.
Yeah, he is.
I think Strays is good.
Okay.
I'm saying this like really quiet.
Where's Chris Pratt, though? Pratt.
He was too busy eating spaghetti with meatballs and a pizza pie and drinking limoncello.
Chris Pratt did play Mario, but didn't play the guy in Elemental who's like, what does he look like? Well, if Chris Pratt was just made of water, he would look like this guy. And it's bizarre.
He's also playing Garfield.
Oh, dear. Well, he does love lasagna.
Exactly. He ate so much damn lasagna to play Mario. Yeah, you got to give him Garfield too now.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
I really love Jackie Chan vocal performance-wise in Turtles.
Agreed.
I do love Bradley, obviously. Very fond of that. I do genuinely enjoy Mr. Jack Black's work in Mario. If there's a voice performer having fun in that movie, it's certainly him.
I would agree with that.
Can I give Russell Crowe a best voice performance nomination for The Pope's Exorcist? Like, I don't even care about anything else. Just the accent.
Was the other scene in Dune 2 is Rebecca Ferguson says, do the voice, and Russell Crowe from The Pope's Exorcist shows up and he does the voice.
Thought you were going to say, can I give him a best animation reference nomination for Donkey Kong and Super Mario?
Can I say my number one runner-up for production design that just missed the list is oh no, wait, sorry, it's my number 5. It does make the list.
Okay.
The Pope's Exorcist parentheses Vespa. Just the Vespa from The Pope's Exorcist makes it in for production.
I would say he's a putters and murmurs contender, but he's more of a, of rumors and yellers. He's not really puttering in that one. I guess his Vespa
Vespa's kind of puttering along. Yeah.
I mean, should we call out other craft things if they're things? I don't have full 5s written out for a lot of them.
I have full 5s for everything. Let's just
Godzilla Minus One would be my visual effects winner as well. It's
the visual effects.
There's a lot of hand wringing of like how did they make this for $20 million when every other movie costs $200 million?
Sure.
And I think the better analog to that movie is The Creator, where it's how was this made for $80 million when everything else cost $200?
Yes.
It should just be acknowledged. A lot of the ways in which the Godzilla budget was kept so low have to do with a lot of not great things that happen in the Japanese film industry.
The Creator coming out as pro-AI propaganda in the year 2023 is very funny also.
Very funny.
It's very funny.
No, a lot of the ways that Godzilla Minus One was able to keep its budget low have to do with very equivalent to the video game industry, tech crunch, underpaid, what have you, and also having a director who had a VFX background and did a lot of it himself for no extra money.
He gets nominated,
And also it is a movie that's very smart about like it has fewer visual effects shots than you think it does.
Yeah.
It chooses its moments very well, but it's also just unbelievably well realized.
My other 4 production design nominations, besides The Pope's Exorcist Vespa, are Asteroid City, because Wes should always be in production design. Barbie, because it creates a world of Barbie. Beau is Afraid for, if nothing else,
The City,
creating the most like emotionally true New York City, terrifying New York City. Like, oh, what if you made a New York City out of just anxiety? And it's just like, oh, okay.
All of the set design work, the fantasy world, and that is so cool. The tremendous. Forest and like
that's my winner in that category. But also one that I think you guys will appreciate is Blackberry. Like the way they do the offices in Blackberry and the way they make it look like just so shabby and low rent and also like period appropriate. Very, very, very good.
Most years, the West movie would be my automatic production design winner.
Yeah.
I need to call out Ninja Turtles Mutant Mayhem looks unreal. And I feel like a lot of that conversation got taken over by Spider-Verse.
Also looks cool.
Looks cool. Ninja Turtles Woodrow White, I believe, was the main character designer on it, who I believe is a Blankie. Shout out.
Not Woodrow Wilson, who's a dead president.
Correct.
Right.
Bought a Vin Diesel oil painting from him a couple years ago, not realizing who he
Woodrow
was.
Wilson. From President Woodrow Wilson.
It showed up on my Instagram timeline, and someone was like, "You should buy this," and I bought it from him, and then later found out, he's a listener, and he did all the Ninja Turtles designs. But that movie, Ben, you will see it soon. You have not seen it yet.
No, I have not.
That is a movie that like somehow carries over this aesthetic of everything looking like doodles done in the margins of a notebook during class, and it's incredible.
Yeah, VFX. I do think the creator has amazing VFX. I think Guardians 3 is actually kind of like incredibly triumphant VFX stuff, sort of at the end of that Marvel run. I think D&D had really good visual effects that are like squidgy and fun and fit the tone of the movie. Oppenheimer's cool, obviously. Production design. Well, Jack Fisk, the King Jack Fisk, still out there slaying.
Yeah.
Wow, everyone's slaying this year. He's like almost 80 years old.
He rolls.
And that movie, like the scale of it is really tremendous. Barbie's obviously worth acknowledging here.
Here's a kind of special award I want to call out. The way the Oscars used to sometimes an accomplishment that defies clean categorization. Best composite performance.
Oh, okay.
I think there has to be some special honor bestowed to the three-way performance in Mithrigan.
Oh.
Yeah, sure.
The girl, the robot, and
the dancer.
The dancer, yeah.
The voice.
Right.
The special effects.
Is the girl, though, the human girl, doesn't she provide the voice of Megan?
Well, I'm saying...
She's Slay of the Year. Can we just say that's what... If we can just go with this?
I'm saying there are basically like 10 people involved in that performance.
Yeah.
And I'm saying the three facets. I'm including everyone who worked on it. I'm saying there's the vocal.
Right.
There's the special effects.
Yes.
Right.
And there's the human body.
Right, exactly.
Which goes between being a child, being animatronics, being CGI, being a dancer.
Yeah.
The voice, like... For that many disparate parts, the entire success of that movie is that everyone saw that trailer and went, I want to know more about her.
It's a better trailer than it is a movie.
Totally. I think the movie's a lot of fun.
The movie's fun. I think the movie's fun.
But Mithrigan as a performance is so wildly successful that we're going to be seeing Mithrigan movies forever.
We did, for this at Oscar Buzz for our Patreon, we did like superlatives of the year in like non-traditional categories or whatever. And that was a choreography nominee for us. Yeah. Because it's like, it's both dance choreography and fight choreography in the same scene.
I just think as a creation, split across a number of contributors, that is a wholly successful realization of a character.
Yeah.
Who y'all got for score? Music.
Ludwig Göransson for Oppenheimer.
He's collecting an Oscar this year.
Yes. I mean, Mark Ronson and Andrew Wyatt for Barbie, of course. Joe Hisaishi for The Boy and the Heron.
Yes. Robbie Robertson, Killers of the Flower Moon is incredible work.
I agree. Rip.
I had Naoki Sato for Godzilla -1.
Really good music in that movie.
Alfonso de Villalonga for Robot Dreams. Again, shout out to Robot Dreams. Love that movie.
Trent Reznor, Atticus Ross for Ninja Turtles is a really fucking good score.
Awesome
I'm mad I didn't
score for
before
me.
the Blankies.
I listened to that score a lot.
And kind of like unlike their other work. In a lot of ways.
Although I feel like they have been branching out as they do more stuff. Their Challenger score, which is later this year, slaps. It's
You've
like
seen Challengers?
I'm
so jealous of you.
It's like dance music. It's like awesome.
I think the use of song soundtrack in Blackberry is so fucking good.
At a time when song soundtracks are really, really lazy these days, can be at least.
Like Air does the same shit of like use popular songs from the era as
bad in
signifiers to
Air.
place you, and all of them are
Air
like
picked really obscure music. I just didn't understand.
Blackberry. Every song so directly pins it to that exact year in a way that doesn't feel show-offy, but also doesn't feel like obvious.
The Burial Does song is good. I know I keep bringing up that movie.
Burial
it's just like think of the movie besides the one you just saw last. But yeah. Can I also say for songs? I don't like whatever. I'm just Ken should win the Oscar.
Sure.
And I think Wonka deserved a song nomination. The fact that Wonka didn't show up on the short list is dumb, I think.
He doesn't like the song.
I just think the songs are mid.
He's not a believer.
I think The World of Our Own is a really
the Wonka songs rock. But whatever. We've already been declared like enemies of the people for liking Wonka or
Wonka's
whatever.
good and fun. Timmy's very good in it.
By like 3
love
people
Wonka.
in our DMs.
No. The Reddit is already very which I really shouldn't bring up. We're not looking at Reddit.
We're not
anymore.
looking at the Reddit.
Miko Levy for Zone of Interest.
Sure.
Is on my ballot as well. The Blankies picked Oppenheimer, Heron, Moon, Barbie, Spider-Verse. Spider-Verse music good. Obviously, Daniel Pemberton always good.
Fantastic. Yeah.
I'm trying to think if there are any other. I mean, I really like Lauren Balfe's D&D score. Really, really good. 1001 has an amazing score. Have you seen 1001?
I haven't.
I think you'd like that.
That's
movie,
another embarrassing blind spot for me.
Another good like micro-targeted period piece.
For sure. Yeah. Killer had a pretty fun. Reznor Ross score too.
Yep.
Yeah.
All right. Griffin.
Killer also had good needle drops.
There's what I've previously called my Sergeant Shroom Award, named after Vin Diesel's character in Billy Lynn's Long Halftime Walk, which is performance I most wish I could nominate.
Yeah.
And this
in
is
a good conscience.
Right. I'm just like, I went
you're ready to love it.
I went into the year going, how do I not?
And
I think this is a split. And I saw people in past months being like, I can't wait for the inevitable Griffin nominates him for this.
Which is? Who's the name?
Split in 2 categories. Nick Cage for both Dream Scenario and Renfield.
Very, very good in both those movies.
I wanted to like Dream Scenarios.
Me too.
I wanted to like both of those movies more than I did. And
Renfield had a terrible trailer, and I was like, I'm not going to watch Renfield now after that trailer.
I like Renfield more than Dream Scenario. I like a lot of things in Renfield, actually. But I think he's incredibly good in both of those films. I'm very excited by these last couple years of Nicolas Cage really putting in the work again. And I feel like he has, other than Pig, not found the vehicle that totally works in conjunction with him.
I agree, but he is good. And I'm glad to see him punching above his weight in real movies.
Yes.
Let me see the other text. Okay, so cinematography. You want me to give you the Blankies cinematography winners? From 1 to 5 here. Oppenheimer, Flower Moon, Poor Things, Asteroid City, Maestro.
Okay.
5 movies with looks.
Yeah.
For sure.
Yeah. Asteroid City's
can't really argue with any of
I'm
those.
like, would that be my 5 as well?
I have Beau is Afraid. I have Asteroid City, Beau is Afraid, Iron Claw, which I think looks tremendous. Taste of Things and Perfect Days.
Yeah.
Taste of Things, Best Soup.
Yes, 100%.
My other major embarrassing blind spot.
Was that really because they just fucking released it last week?
Yeah,
that's why.
You're right. Those
that's
villains.
actually the only one I don't feel guilty about because they made it hard for me to see it.
Yeah. I'm just going to also throw out costume winner La Chimera. That's all I need to say. La Chimera has linen suits.
That's another movie that I'm just outraged it's considered 2022.
I know. It shouldn't be.
I look forward to seeing it 6 months from now.
Yeah.
Best Actress.
My nominees are
Yes.
Greta Lee in Past Lives.
Sure.
Salma Hayek in Magic Mike's Last Dance.
You and Chris Kyle are the Salma Hayek and Magic Mike's Last Dance folks. Yeah.
Lori Kalami, probably mispronounced, in Full Time. Here's my mispronunciation corner. Benedetta.
Virginie Efira.
For Benedetta again.
For what? Oh, you're saying you
actress's name
is Benedetta.
The actress's name is Benedetta Porcaroli. Benedetta Porcaroli, I think is her name.
And she's in Amanda.
She is the lead. She is the titular role in Amanda.
Right.
And Alma Posti in Fallen Leaves.
Who's amazing.
Yes. Those are my
Golden Globe nomination.
She did, which was cool as hell.
Kind of amazing. Oscar snubbed that movie. Those worthless shits.
Yeah.
My actress nominees are Jennifer Lawrence in No Hard Feelings, Greta Lee in Past Lives.
David's so angry.
Sorry, David.
Fine. Totally fine.
Julianne Moore
Take her off.
in May, December.
Interesting.
All right, wait. I'm sorry. So say I talked over you. Jennifer Lawrence.
Jennifer Lawrence in No Hard Feelings. Greta Lee in Past Lives.
Absolutely.
Julianne Moore in May, December. Natalie Portman in May, December. And Margot Robbie in Barbie.
So you're putting both the May Decembers in there.
They are. It is a twin lead movie if I've ever seen one.
Interesting.
I mean, that's totally fair. I bought what they did. I think I had no real complaints about the way they shook it out, but it does feel like a movie where you can kind of shake it almost any way you want.
I don't think screen time counting is always the grand arbiter.
No.
But I was surprised seeing the screen time breakdown of Julianne Moore being in a lot less of the movie than I thought she was.
Yeah, which I think maybe even makes my point for me because it feels like she's more prominent.
The movie definitely it deploys her when it wishes to.
Yes. David, you're fine.
No, you guys should just keep talking while I make sure. So mad about Jennifer Lawrence. She was my pick. Love that movie.
I love that movie, and I love her. Oh, God.
Love her especially.
It's so great that she's back. I'm very happy that Jennifer Lawrence is back.
I agree. I mean, look, the only thing that's kind of a bummer is it does feel like Anyone But You got the bump of people watching No Hard Feelings in Netflix and wishing they had seen it in theaters.
Yeah, that's probably true. Anyone But You, will they keep it around long enough to hit 100 million? It's at 87 now.
They just fell out of the top.
Yeah,
they really wanted
it back into more theaters for Valentine's Day.
It's going to be just short.
They've given up because now it's available digitally. But, it's made, obviously, a lot
of money. But that movie getting to 90?
It's made Madame Web will not put us in the red this quarter amount of money.
Yeah.
That's probably, they're probably happy.
Anyone But You, and I should, even though, and I shouldn't hold Madame Web against anybody, but Madame Web has really made me question the Sydney Sweeney project that we've all decided to embark on.
Other conversation.
If you didn't like Sydney Sweeney in that, wait till you see Anyone But You, my friend.
Someone I feel like we're all rooting for.
Yeah.
We want her to work as a movie star.
It's been a while since that first season of The White Lotus, though. Yeah. It's been a minute.
I'll just put this on the books for next year to call a winner early.
Okay.
I think, or no, it was last year. It came out the end of 2023.
Anyone But You?
Yeah. So then let me give an honorific here.
Okay.
Best close-up shot of a pee hole in a movie.
Best urethra. It
goes to Anyone But You.
Wow.
Right.
All right.
Okay.
Fucking Passages got an NC-17 for shadowy butt crack, and Anyone But You goes head-on close-up of
shadowy hole. Shadowy hole.
Shadowy hole in Passages.
There's plenty of crack.
Yeah.
The crack is
shadowy butthole. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
No, my five are Lily Gladstone in Killers of the Flower Moon, Michelle Williams in Showing Up, Tiana Taylor in 1001, Kaylee Spaney in Priscilla, and I'll just give Emma Stone for Poor Things, who I genuinely love in that movie. Now that fucking Jennifer Lawrence has been taken away from me.
Wow. My also rans were a lot of the heavy. I mean, it was Carey Mulligan, Maestro, Natalie Portman, May December, Michelle Williams Showing Up, Lily Gladstone, Killers of the Flower Moon.
I did lop off all of the Oscar nominees that were on my list. Sandra Hüller, Emma Stone, Lily Gladstone, loved them all. They're all fantastic.
And I kind of felt like you were going to rep Portman and Williams. And I put Showing Up in a lot of other categories. And Carey Mulligan is incredibly good. I'll say this.
And I love Alma Poitsi.
Yes.
Poitsi. I'm not sure how to pronounce her Finnish last name in Fall Leaves. I'm with you on that one.
Yeah.
So good.
Carey Mulligan's kind of in the weird space of is she almost getting bumped up from what is a supporting performance? As great as I think she is in it.
I'm surprised there wasn't more talk about that, except for the fact that there was so much buzz when that movie came out around
her first billing.
Right.
And I love Maestro. People know I love Maestro on Maine.
You do.
I do think that's the most insincere element of the movie. There's
a lot of insincere elements of that movie.
In my opinion, that is the most insincere element. That is very much not her story or even their story as much as it is his story. And I think there's a certain generosity to Bradley Cooper as a guy
it's
being
extreme wife guyness in a way
absolutely.
that
And she's wonderful in it.
Well, and a lot of Maestro is what if I could solve my problems by being a wife guy for a while?
Fascinating movie.
Yes.
Let's talk through our nominees.
Yes.
Greta Lee in Past Lives. I almost call it Greta Lives.
A performance.
Greta Lives.
But when we had Hodgman,
stage show at
Greta Lives
Carnegie
and Past Lee.
Yeah. When we had Hodgman on our Buster Keaton miniseries, he referred to Buster Keaton as someone who traffics in nostril acting, saying the stone face kind of title that's thrown at him is inaccurate because he's actually very expressive, but just with such precise micro expressions. The Greta Lee performance is like that, where I just kind of And I feel like I like that movie a little less than most people. I like it a lot, but it's a movie that many people are religious about. But that performance just knocks me out of like, for how much of it is her in close-up listening?
Or looking at a computer screen?
Yes.
Yeah.
And her face is barely moving, and she is saying so much.
Well, because it has to lead up to, she can't release until the very, very, very last
And she's
second.
like an incredible, broad comedic performer.
Yes. Yeah. Oh, yeah.
She can play to the cheap seats.
Yep.
She has done it with a level of specificity that always made clear she had like the technique of a very skilled dramatic actress, but to scale it down this much is astounding.
She's wonderful. And I love her in general. Always loved Greta Lee. She was someone who was always nice to see.
Always.
Yes. Yeah.
And you know, rose to this like incredibly complex role so well.
There's a little role called Margot Robbie in Barbie that I want to
She's a
talk
last cut for me because she's so fucking funny in that movie.
She's really funny.
I think.
Like, it was one of those things where I walked out of Barbie and I texted Chris and Katie, who are my like go-to group text. And I'm like, Margot Robbie better fucking get that Oscar nomination. And I was like, I hated to like to boil it down to that because like that conversation has been so annoying.
Sure.
But it's like, I would not disagree with Ryan Gosling also being the performance of the year, but I think Margot Robbie as Barbie is the performance of the year. That movie falls apart. It doesn't fall apart, but like it really does not work.
So my
she
line,
doesn't nail it.
Counter to what you said walking out of the theater.
Yeah.
I went to see it with a good friend of the podcast, Orlando Ollier. And I turned to him and I was like, I feel like Margot Robbie's going to get fucked. I called it immediately, not to give myself credit.
No, it's the same thing. I feel like there's another really obvious example of this recently.
She's in the fucking Irishman fighter position.
Yeah, De Niro in Irishman.
Where she is like the star producer who willed this movie into existence, brought the people together.
Yeah.
And she's doing incredibly good work.
Fell victim to that same thing.
Although that movie gets no acting nominations.
Sure.
I just thought the Irishman fighter counterpoint where it's like these movies are like supporting bonanzas.
Sure.
Right? And same with Barbie, like 2 supporting nominations.
Yep.
And she's doing the really skillful work at the center that's a little selfless. Like part of the design of the movie is I'm letting everyone else play the color.
Sure.
And I'm doing the kind of internalized thing.
Right.
She's incredibly good.
It's doing so much more than you think it is doing at first. Like going in, you just you feel like you got the sense of it from the trailers and whatever, and then you watch the movie and it's like, oh no, you're doing so much.
Kind of my thing against the Emma Stone performance.
Really?
Like, I prefer the way they're not identical movies.
Not at all.
But I'm more by Margot Robbie playing the awakening of consciousness.
Yeah. I don't, but that's not a negative on Margot Robbie.
They're both very stylized.
Margot also.
Yeah, I mean, Poor Things is about a baby at first, not like a scripted character. Like Barbie is about a scripted character who the fourth wall falls down.
Yeah.
Right.
Poor Things starts with Emma Stone being a baby. As someone who just raised a baby, her performance as a baby is incredibly accurate.
I think it's the best baby performance I've seen all year. I'm not taking anything
just like
away
the things where she just suddenly goes like reaches out and kind of like pushes something.
Yeah, for no reason. Yeah.
And she just had a baby.
Yeah, I was gonna say
it felt like she's just like
it feels very well observed.
Yeah.
I also want to say for Margot as a bonus point, her one scene in Asteroid City is
incredible.
So tremendously
good.
Like,
Same with Hong Chow. Her one scene in Asteroid City is incredible.
Yeah.
Benedetta Porcaroli and Amanda. That movie rules. And
I need to see it. I haven't seen it.
So fucking good. It's one of the best coming of age movies I've seen in a long time. But feels like a real Star is Born performance.
No, that was Bradley Cooper.
Oh, I'm sorry. It feels like a real maestro performance from her. Salma Hayek, Magic Mike's Last Dance.
Salma Hayek, Pinot.
I'm sorry.
I feel like that you've been riding for that from the second it came out, right? Like,
yeah, it came out like a year ago, and I was like, is she gonna still fucking be in my? I don't see how she could get bumped, even with a year of performances ahead of us.
Just a lot of fun. Just a lot of fun.
I love that movie, and I feel like
it's a good movie. It got slept on. Yeah.
Alma Paisty is just kind of like the embodiment of the magic of the tone of Fallen Leaves, which is so much the Kaurismäki thing, but I feel like he's rarely had an actor funnel his energy and embody it so perfectly. My winner is fucking Lori Kalami for Full Time, which I saw last January.
She would be on my list, except I knew you had her.
Yeah.
I watched the movie because you told me to watch it, and it's excellent.
I saw it last January. It barely got a release here in the States. It came out like the second week of January, and I half debated putting her in my actress last year because I was like, well, it's so unfair because I'm not going to, a year from now, she's going to get bumped for other people. I never saw a better performance. That film is basically, my take is it's the best film the Dardennes didn't make of the last 10 years. And it's just a movie of watching.
The Dardennes didn't make a lot of movies in the last 10 years, so that's high
well, they
praise.
made a lot of movies that didn't exist. But it's just a movie of a woman who, this is someone who is primarily a comedic actress, is on Call Your Agent, giving this incredibly subtle, similarly kind of nostril performance as a woman whose sort of life is collapsing and is trying to find her way out of poverty, raising 2 children, living in the suburbs as there's a transportation strike, working multiple jobs, going to interviews, trying to find a way to level up. It's like an unbelievable performance with one of the best endings of the year. And it's an ending that is entirely on her face.
Yes. Yeah. It's the ending you want, and they crush it.
And they nail it. Yeah, they nail it.
Yeah.
I cannot recommend that film enough Full Time to anyone who is listening to the show.
You're recommending that all the time. You're full-time recommending it.
Full-time recommending it.
Wait, David, I want to hear you talk about Jennifer Lawrence in No Hard Feelings because
You talk about it. You picked her. Thief! No, I'm going last. I'm always going to get trumped by any...
You can go first. That's
no, I know. That's what I'm saying. I'm saying about, like, sure. I am risking, any fun by going last. I just think it's sort of what Griffin said. We're already taking it for granted.
Yeah.
We begged her to do something like this.
Yep.
She did it.
Yep.
She was luminous and funny.
Yep.
Yeah.
And everyone was like, yeah, fine. Can you make another rom-com, though? And it's just like, what do we want from her at this point? Her line deliveries make me laugh so hard in it.
Yeah. I do think the next time she does this, there's going to be an overreaction.
That's possible, right?
Sure, probably, yeah.
I'm trying to think of my favorite. There's one line reading that's so funny. And I'm trying to find it. Go ahead.
Rewatched it, and I really would like to. She also, and I mean, her counterpart there, Andrew Barth Feldman, who's like first movie and whatever. And it's like,
Joe, we'll talk about it.
We'll talk about it. Good. I'm glad we will because he's so much fun. My runners up that I just wanted to rep for the tiny little indies. Marin Ireland and Judy Reyes are both so good in a movie called Birth, Rebirth.
Need to see it.
That I saw at Sundance. Marin Ireland was just really killing it this year. But Judy Reyes, who I love from Scrubs and was always my favorite on Scrubs. And it was so great to see her get a role that is like, so if you've been hoping since Scrubs for Judy Reyes to get like a really cool role in a horror movie with some really good acting, go find Birth, Rebirth.
Got a Spirit nomination?
She got a Spirit nomination.
She did,
Yep. Well deserved.
Who else did we have? I mean, Lily, I hope she wins.
Me too.
Sort of huge performance of the year for me.
Yeah. Michelle,
we've already talked about showing up a bunch, but obviously doesn't work without her. Tiana Taylor, you guys, who Griffin and anyone else should really watch that movie. It's a remarkable stuff.
Yeah,
from
she's great.
A person whose acting is not her primary job, even. She's more of a songwriter and a dancer, and she's amazing.
I also feel, just to speak to Michelle Williams very quickly, you said this, I think, last year in our Blankies episode, but when people were dinging her in Fablemans for being over the top, and you had already seen Showing Up, which had done the festival circuit but not come out, you're like, those two movies coming out within whatever it was, 4 months of each other, December and March or April.
March, I think it was.
It's just maybe like, not. She has such control of her dial to be able to do both of those things and know what movie she's in and what's required of that part.
Yes.
Because you kind of can't go smaller than what she does in Showing Up.
Was surprised Kaylee Spaney wasn't on your ballot. I feel like you're the bigger Priscilla fan than I. But I love that performance.
Priscilla's been kind of left out of a lot of my categories. Yeah. She's about to make a showing in the final two, the final two. But no, she's great. I just that is a very reactive performance, and part of it is her being a little empty and unformed, which I think she does perfectly well. I think she does exceptionally well, in fact. But even against other subtle micro performances, I think it's actually just character playing against her, if that makes sense. That part of what I think is fascinating about that movie is a bit of the void at the center, which she does very well.
Yeah, I totally forgot to mention, of course, that our presenters here are Idris Elba, and Jack Lowden.
I loved Jack Lowden.
You and I both had Idris Elba, Griff, and he had Jack Lowden.
We both had Idris Elba for Best Actor. Wow.
Yeah, for 3,000 years.
God, we're like cool and we have good taste.
I agree. Jack Lowden, amazing in Slow Horses, which I'm now Slow Horses.
I've just started watching Slow Horses. Just very early on.
He just will not watch anything that Saoirse Ronan's boyfriend is in.
Yes.
Well, listen.
I say it every year.
You just
Doesn't
need to
he have
little,
enough?
He just needs to dump Saoirse Ronan.
Just have a little fight with Jack Lowden.
Have enough.
Let Jack Lowden beat you.
By the way,
and then like it'll be over.
By the way, I go see Sometimes I Think About Dying.
Yeah.
A movie I've been waiting all year to see. My most anticipated film. Waiting a year.
The second I saw it at Sundance, you were like, how is it? How is it?
Yeah. And it like lived up to expectations. It's probably my fucking Magic Mike Last Dance full time, where like she's cruising to a Best Actress nomination next year. Daisy Ridley.
Right.
And I'm just like, how did all my friends see this a year ago at Sundance and not spoil for me, A, that there was a literal pasta dinner in that film.
Wow.
Where a man makes her pasta in order to woo her, and it, I would say, works.
It works, though. It takes some negotiation.
Which I would say is almost more appealing to me, that it doesn't...
Yes,
that there are emotional complications.
Mm-hmm.
And two, that she's quietly been married.
Daisy Ridley.
Yes.
You mean in IRL?
Yes.
How dare
last year at Sundance when she was doing press, she's like, oh yeah, my boyfriend and I quietly got married.
Tom Beatman, who I believe she met on the Orient Express. True.
Wow. All right.
And here's the thing. I bought a ticket for that same ride, and I just decided to sleep in that day. I could have been on that train. That's my Mark Wahlberg. If I'd been on that train,
things would have turned out a lot
different.
Things
would have gone a lot different.
Can we do Best Actor?
Okay,
Let's
Best Actor.
Yeah.
Best Actor.
Who's presenting this one, David?
Oh, okay. So our Best Actresses
Yes.
of last year were Lydia Tarr. I said Lydia Tarr as Kate Blanchett as Lydia Tarr, right, or whatever. Yeah. So Kate Blanchett for both of us, and Rebecca Hall for Joe.
Yeah, I really liked that movie, huh?
I did Blanchett too.
Yeah,
you did.
I'm almost surprised.
Yeah, I don't know.
Best Actor. Should I go first? Do you want to go first, David, so no one can snipe you?
Cillian Murphy and Oppenheimer. Jason Schwartzman and who are our winners for actress? Jesus.
Oh, I said my winner was
Margot
Laura
Robbie.
Kalami.
The performance of
Lily Gladstone.
Yeah. Okay, great.
Cillian Murphy for Oppenheimer. Jason Schwartzman for Asteroid City. Chris Pine for Dungeons and Dragons.
Of course.
Jamie Foxx for The Burial. Kenneth Branagh for A Haunting in Venice.
That is the most David five I have ever heard.
I had a long text debate with a friend last night where I was like, is this flat out trolling to include old Kenny? And I said, like, should I instead argue for his, and this is how I put it to her, he should be, his ham cannon should be etched on a mountain. Like, you know what I mean? Yeah. Like the Branagh ham cannon.
I love the idea of a ham cannon, first of all, for a lot of reasons.
I do too.
That's basically you filling the category with 5 insane David picks.
Well, no, I mean, Cillian is ordinary.
You're just lucky that one of them happens to be a front runner this year. But in any other year,
it is wild that we are on the precipice of Cillian Murphy having an Oscar. Like, it's so amazing. I mean, I love it.
And his greatest threat is Paul Giamatti being the ultimate mensch, which none of us can protest.
No, not at all.
I certainly cannot. If Giamatti wins, I will shed a tear of happiness.
You know who will be happy if Giamatti wins?
Murphy performance, right?
Cillian Murphy will be happy if Giamatti wins.
I'm sure he will be.
He'll be like, good for him. I love that guy.
Yeah.
He's a mate.
Wait, did you see? I know I keep bringing up. Did you see somebody at the SAG Awards? Branagh's now gone full beard, rather than the stash. Obviously, he wasn't wearing the stash in real life, but like, do we know what that's for? What's the?
He's always shape shifting into a new guy who yells.
Olympic opening ceremony where like my beard is needed.
I was hoping it's Old Man Perot. The fourth one, he's got 2 beards.
Yes, call it Stephen Merchant is there and like a weird like a burned out bomb or whatever.
I put Ryan Gosling and Barbie in lead.
Wow.
Kind of fair. I mean, all over that movie.
Yeah. Franz Rogowski in Passages. Jason Schwartzman in Asteroid City.
Hell yeah.
Andrew Scott in All of Us Strangers. And Koji Yakusho in Perfect Days.
Need to see it.
Oh, I think you will like
Embarrassing blind spot. I think I will love it. Yeah. My nominees for Best Actor.
Bathrooms.
It is.
You're going to be interested.
Yeah. Public bathrooms.
My nominees for Best Actor.
Yes.
Charles Melton in May, December.
Right. I mean, you teased this.
I teased a couple things coming up here. Andrew Scott, All of Us Strangers. Bradley Cooper in Maestro, Cillian Murphy in Oppenheimer, and Andrew Barth Feldman in No Hard Feelings.
He fucking rules.
My other
really
fucking like unbelievable comedic performance of the year, the opposite of Gosling in Barbie, where it's like similarly such a good handle on that character that every reaction he has is funny. But it's like barely goes above a whisper. The hardest I think I laughed at anything all of last year in the movies was when he orders a Coke at the bar. And the waitress tells him they only have Pepsi. And he just turns to her and goes, do you want to go somewhere else?
It's one of the funniest parts.
But in like a whisper, he goes, do you want to go someplace else? As if they just witnessed like violence or like...
He's so good.
That joke
this place
really
feels a little dangerous. And he's just got a million of those.
Oh yeah, that's the thing. It's like,
he's like playing Macaulay Culkin in the Page Master all grown up or whatever. Like some kid where you're like, do you even know how to like make toast or like put your shoes on?
He never once sells out the integrity of the character.
That's the thing.
He never throws him under the bus for a
comedic,
joke.
Yes. And obviously it's exaggerated in a fun way or whatever. Like it is not.
But I would say it's not. I'd say it's exaggerated on the script level. And he finds a way to make every decision not feel exaggerated. He's just like, this is a real guy. I mean, the fucking Coke Pepsi thing goes straight into him explaining his wet dream about Harley Quinn. Which is another thing that would feel so silly, sells so well. Not to mention his fucking Oscar clip of him performing Maneater.
I know. It's amazing.
That is like one of the most heartrending moments.
Where's his nom?
It's one of those things
it's
where
right here on my fucking list.
The character has to have like to now see him with different eyes, and then so do we at the same time. And like that's it's all gotta work.
And I know this guy's a fucking,
Jimmy Award,
he's an Evan Hansen, right? I'm like, this guy can sing. But he gets behind the piano. And you're like, is it going to fuck with this movie that he performs it too well? That this scene should be the joke of he's recontextualizing the song and maybe it's 5% funny? And instead, the better he sings it, the funnier it gets and the more heartbreaking at the same time. And it's the whole thing about that movie that's fascinating is like, oh, no, the real comedic conflict of this film, I think aside from what they sold it as, which was hard to sell to people of like, is this some creepy grooming movie that the internet got uncomfortable about?
Oh God, I forgot about that, Griffin.
Uncomfortable about?
Dumb, right?
So dumb.
But you're like, no, that's the moment where the movie reveals itself, not as a twist, but as like, this is the real comedic conceit is this woman realizes she's fucked up. That she thinks if I play like a fucking Kelly LeBrock, weird science version of an 80s sex comedy woman, he'll just go gazunga, gazunga, and come in his pants and movie over. And the one thing she hadn't considered is like, he falls in love with her.
Oh, he might be a person. He might be like...
He's a person. He has now caught feelings, and she now doesn't know how to handle it.
Yeah.
Great movie, in my opinion. Also, it's all about how like fucking, gentrification ruined Montauk. Like, I just like that there's a lot going on in that like fairly short, like punchy little movie.
Let's say it though. It is another movie that like, I would say almost catastrophically botches the last 10 minutes.
It's less catastrophic for me, but
I think
certainly
I'm with David there,
the stuff I like is certainly more front-loaded in that movie.
I think like that movie, if it could figure out how to fix,
it doesn't quite know how to.
It doesn't know how to end it.
I'd say there's like 3 story decisions it botches in the last 10 minutes. Where if it got those right, I'd be like, that's maybe an 8 out of 10.
It doesn't know how to end without putting the two of them together, which you obviously can't do. So it's like, how do we? But like, wait a second. Like, what? There is no template for this. Like, how do we just sort of like get out of this? Gordian knot.
Also, not to non-spoiler the movie, but I sit there going like, oh my God, who's going to be the incredible surprise actor who shows up for one incredible scene at the end of the movie as her father?
Oh, right.
And the fact that the movie just shrugs it off and goes like, never mind, she doesn't care about that.
Peter Gallagher.
I mean,
just saying.
Could be.
Love that man.
Could be. Cillian Murphy in Oppenheimer is just kind of undeniable, right? I mean, we devoted entire episodes to it.
He should be on my list, but it's one of he was, I again lopped off the Oscar nominees.
Who else we got? Let's keep him moving.
Bradley and Maestro.
He's reining it in. I'm reining it in. That's his Oscar clip for me. That better be his Oscar clip.
Wait, did we all have Schwartzman or did
no? I didn't put him in.
You didn't have Schwartzman.
I didn't put him in.
He's my winner.
Wow.
So
it's an incredibly moving performance. And the year plus that he is having to just shout out to Jason Schwartzman.
I think Cillian's...
Yeah, that's fine. Cillian's amazing in Oppenheimer.
There's part of me debating to go Bradley.
Yeah, go for Bradley.
Yelled at.
No.
Andrew Scott, All of Us Strangers.
Andrew Scott, All of Us Strangers. I mean, an actor who I have loved for a very long time. My least fun thing about me is that I get really annoyed when people are like, hot priest. And I'm like, listen, there are other roles.
The man contains multitudes.
He was in a movie called Pride a few years ago that he's...
I love that movie.
Oh my God, is that not a great movie, David? It's so good. And again, out gay actor, which, and just like really bringing just a ton of sadness and experience and all sorts of stuff into that role. I think he's great. Rogowski is so good playing a character I cannot stand in a way that like I think I'm not supposed to like this character, but just like, oh boy, the sight of this guy.
There's a part to him that's almost like Emma Stone in Poor Things, where he genuinely seems like, I don't understand why people are reacting to me strangely.
A little bit, yes.
Just zero awareness of how he is like breaking all rules of society.
There's a scene where he meets Adele Exarchopoulos' parents.
Yeah.
That is unreal. Absolutely unreal. And also that
chillest scene of the year.
That's also
most chill guy behavior
that goes hand in hand with the costumer. Like the costumer should almost like get like an assist for the performance, because there are so many. Chris File always talks about the crop top, which like, yes, the crop top. He also wears this kind of like macrame green sort of yarn shirt that barely exists. It's amazing. It's so good. And yeah, I think Gosling, I don't have a problem with him in supporting, but like I do think that's a two lead thing. And there was a clip the other day that I had forgotten about. The thing with now I'm not gonna remember, but it's just like 8 billion little like moments in that movie where he's just reacting to the world, to this like weird new little power trip that he's on or whatever. The choreography in the I'm Just Ken Dream Ballet part, where it's so simplistic, but he sells it so perfectly. There
are two moments I go back to a lot in that performance. One of them is when he's jealously watching Barbie dance with Simulu Ken, and then he throws down his golden champagne flute and starts trying to outdance him, but he does it with like the pouty passive aggressiveness of a toddler being like, I can't believe you're making me do this.
Mirthless dancing is the funniest thing.
It's kind of a combo of his nice guys performance and his crazy stupid love performance. Like those energies with some extra stuff.
Yes.
I mean, his nice guys performance remains his like
in there too. We talked about this in the
Wonka
Man episode, but
his love of Gene Wilder.
And I do think there's a lot of like, that's Gene Wilder as a dumb hunk. There's the same sort of like, he has a lot of the like, I need my blankie kind of breakdowns in that movie. And then the final scene where he keeps on being like, and the resolution is we end up together, and she has to keep letting him down over and over again, and every time he's just like, I cannot figure this out. Look, I mean, we did a do-si-do with Melton and Gosling.
We did a little swapperoo.
Tweener performances.
I liked that. Koji Yakusho is my winner for Perfect Days. A movie that I saw at TIFF very, very, very late. I was standing in line, and I had to do that thing where you have to make the decision of, do I get a cold brew at 10 o'clock at night and maybe like fuck up the rest of my week because I'm going to throw off my like when I'm supposed to be awake thing.
Nothing about this movie will make me think about pooping while I'm sitting there. What's the harm in downing a coffee
That's
quickly?
The other thing is like, do I then take the cold brew and risk having to like bolt from the theater at some point because I did. But anyway, it all worked out. Everything was fine. And I saw this movie that I was really like, all I'd heard about was like, oh, it's very quiet. It's very lovely. It's very good. I'm like, I'm going to fall asleep in this movie. Even if it's good, I'm going to fall asleep. And I sure didn't. It's so lovely. This performance is so, you're just sort of right in it with him. It's not condescending. I know like I've seen people sort of not love this movie and find it to be condescending, and I just don't understand it because I think that performance really keeps it on the right side of things. It's one of those movies that builds up to this like really, really great last shot, and that's all him. And I'm not familiar with actually his like tremendous career, like giant movie star in Japan career, but it makes sense to me after watching this movie.
I greatly look forward to seeing it.
Did you see it, David?
Nope. Been meaning to see it.
Any of your nominees you want to shout out, David, who we haven't talked about?
Piney.
Just
doing his movie star shit, and as a character whose entire job is to put a little bit of movie star spit on something that doesn't totally like hang together without it.
Yeah.
Like that's what a bard does. That's what he's doing.
Yeah.
Like a guy where the whole time, if you sat him down, you'd be like, wait, what is it that you're good at? Like everyone else has a job here and we don't even really know what you do. And he's just kind of like, I just kind of like make everything work. Like to match Pine to that.
Yeah.
Perfect. Jonathan, no. Jonathan is the Birdman.
I know. I just wanted to say Jonathan because it's very funny.
It's the most fun thing to say. She's
actually,
like they say it like fucking reading. Margaret Dumont from the ladies' line reading of it. From the Marx. Jonathan.
Jonathan. It's so good.
Yeah. Jamie Foxx in The Burial. That's what I loved about that movie. Just like old school.
Hot shot showboat, in the best possible way. You wish that. I mean, it's not a Grisham thing, but like you almost wish that there were. More like 20 Grisham light movies that he could.
I mean, that movie went up on Amazon when we were prepping to do the Big Picture legal draft episode. Where I was watching like 40 lawyer movies. Thank you.
You guys were great.
But I went crazy like cramming for things like that. And it was just wild watching them being like, man, we used to have like 5 of these a year.
Exactly.
And they starred the best actors in Hollywood and like top craftspeople and were given reasonable budgets. And then Burial is like, at that same time, Burial comes out straight on streaming.
Yeah.
King Mutiny Court Martial on Showtime.
Yeah.
And Anatomy of the Fall is like French art house movie.
We had so many of them that like, God rest his soul, Roger Ebert called Susan Sarandon and The Client the worst Oscar nomination on the entire ballot of 94. And I'm like, Roger, you didn't know what the future held. This was a golden age.
The thing, Burial, you watch that and you're like, 5 of these a year, please.
Yes.
5.
Yeah.
Even if they have to be on streaming, give me 5.
Yeah.
I understand that Kenneth Branagh is a little over the top as Hercule Poirot in his films. He is the engine of those movies, like especially by Haunting in Venice. And in Haunting in Venice, where he's like playing like I don't even want to do it anymore.
Yeah,
and I'm like, you love it, you little sick freak. Like that's the arc.
Is he going to do more of them?
I have to imagine at a certain point he will be stopped. Right? Like
just keep him on Hulu.
I think you just do one more. Come on, just do one more.
There are other cities. Just find another city.
Joaquin was kind of my last cut for Beau is Afraid, but I honestly loved him in both Napoleon and Beau, and I am not always there for Joaquin.
No,
I'm not either.
Have accused him of being
ham sandwich.
Ham sandwich.
Yeah. So I was really happy to love.
Or in the case of Napoleon, a croque monsieur.
Yeah.
That's what he is in Napoleon, and it rocks.
Yeah.
The Blankies for their lead performance, I'll give you from 10 to 1. Jason Schwartzman, Zac Efron, The Iron Claw, another late cut for me.
Yeah.
Margot Robbie, Natalie Portman, Greta Lee, Sandra Hüller, obviously great performance.
Well, none of us called her out.
I know. Paul Giamatti, Emma Stone, Lily Gladstone, and they gave Killian number 1.
Yeah.
Shout out to Jeffrey Wright, too, who I didn't mention, but like, so glad he's an Oscar nominee now.
I'm so glad wine glass work of the year.
I also loved him in Asteroid City.
Yes. He's got a good Wes Anderson deadpan. He really does.
That's the other thing. That actually, I know I've cited 2 other performances that gave me the giggles.
Oh, sure. Yeah. He's really funny.
His monologue in Asteroid City is the most Griffin bit of all time and just delivered with full sort of faux Jeffrey Wright gravitas of like, let me give the speech. The speech starts with me as a child looking at the stars and him like acting out the whole thing.
Yeah.
Is it Asteroid City where he's like also like, like the president's like, he's furious. Like he has some line like that makes me laugh.
Yes.
Should we do Putters and Murmurs?
Yeah.
Jeffrey Wright is to me the Putters and Murmurs MVP. In American fiction, but no, I want to hear. I haven't thought about that category too hard.
Okay,
so I want to hear.
Considering that, but that's a good.
Because you were saying another guy who's been kind of puttering and murmuring for a while, and we've never given the tip of the hat.
Yeah.
Last year there was that kind of thing with Mark Rylance.
Oh, right.
Yes.
And we were coming at it from different angles, but it was like, is this the year we finally give him the overdue Putters and Murmurs?
Yeah.
Adam Driver in Ferrari, obviously he yells, he accents, but he does putter and murmur.
There is a big one for me, and I think it's a real Putters and Murmurs performance from a Putters and Murmurs guy who had a couple of them this year. Joe, who's your pick?
So I like to paint around the edges first, right?
Of course.
So considered Helen Mirren and Golda. I had to watch Golda because I had to watch all the nominees.
Right. I didn't watch that movie because it seemed boring and I didn't want to.
Oh, you did not have to. That's my Smokers and Weezers. That is a movie about cigarettes.
Much better call.
That woman smokes. There's a scene in it. The only scene I really, really enjoyed in it. There's a scene in where she lights up a cigarette as she's about to go in and get a CAT scan. That is just
God, you're making Golda sound
comedy.
good.
There's no way that movie's good.
But like, there's 18 close-ups of her tar-stained fingers. So whatever. But like, it's more smokers and wheezers than anything else. The putters and wait a second award goes to Tommy Lee Jones in The Burial, where he's putters and murmurs, and then you get the "it feels good" moment in the whatever negotiation, and I'm like, well, you're no longer puttering nor murmuring. You're singing Tony. I was going to say
it's a little for me not to like split hairs here.
If we're not going to split hairs for putters and murmurs, where are we going to split hairs?
For me, that's a little more growling and scowling.
See, this is what Griffin. I need this interaction. I need this interaction.
Not that Tommy don't be usually growling.
Of course, but I'm just like, I think that's kind of the juice of that performance.
Yeah. No, that's correct.
Okay.
The Floaters and Drifters Award goes to the Snoopy Balloon in Maestro, of course. Great floating work there. Yeah. Tremendous. So I had a putters but not murmurs, which is Tom Conti and Oppenheimer.
Yeah, I think that's fair.
There's a lot of puttering down by the water, but he's
in a regular tone of voice.
He's in a regular tone of voice.
He flirts with murmuring.
He does.
Yeah.
But like, ultimately,
I mean, Downey Jr., they were murmuring. He couldn't hear him.
That's true.
He stewed over it.
Ask Louis
Objective
Strauss,
versus subjective.
Yeah, there we go. Yeah. Murmurs but not putters is the voice in Skinamarink, which is just I don't know whether it's puttering or not because I can't see it, but it's certainly murmuring.
I don't want that thing coming to any awards we hold. I'll tell you that much.
Not invited.
No, the one I ended up with is actually a nomination you've already said. It's Magaro and Showing Up.
Great call.
Which I think he's definitely puttering and murmuring.
It's thematic
around that.
There's a bit of a. I mean, there's an asterisk next to it of does this count? Is the hole he's digging creating?
Right.
Is it aiding? Is it sort of like performance enhancing drugs? If you're in your own self dug hole, does everything sound more like a murmur?
That's a fair point. That's a fair point.
My winner.
I want to hear yours. I have a couple more ideas.
Shea Wiggum in Eileen.
Oh, sure.
And a guy who's been puttering and murmuring around the fucking outskirts.
But he'll bark. Like Mission Impossible, he's barking.
Yeah. He is. But he's also got some putters and murmurs. Considering that he's kind of filling the Baldwin Bassett role from those movies. And as much as Baldwin's a whisperer, he's an enunciator.
He is.
And Shea Wiggum's in that.
Here's another thing.
I tend to think of Shea Wiggum in that movie.
Fucking something about Ethan Hunt.
My mental image of him in that movie is seated in a chair, so I didn't think of the puttering, but you're right.
He wanders in the middle of the street with a loaded gun, and he's fucking puttering and murmuring some shit.
He sure does. That's a good pick.
Some other, all right. Tobin Bell in Saw X. That is, they made a movie star performance out of puttering and murmuring. That's an obvious one. That
has a great bit about.
Go on.
That this year at the Oscars, they should just announce that Tobin Bell has won Best Actor for Saw X.
Quitting Twitter means that, like, it's like there's nowhere else for me to get Lex G. Like that. I mean, I know he has the podcast he occasionally will do, but like that has completely cut off my
reason I haven't quit Twitter. Right. But it's like when Harold Zoid wins in the episode of Futurama where they rigged the ballot to give it to him, and everyone's like, you know what? This is good. Tobin Bell's been fucking keeping Jigsaw alive for 20 years. Give him Best Actor.
Wait, there was another obvious one, and
puttering, murmuring.
Another obvious putterer or murmurer.
I mean, like old Bradley Cooper and Maestro. I feel like, did you text this to me at some point? Because you'll text me putters and murmurs contenders throughout the year.
Throughout the year.
Old Lenny has some puttering and murmuring, but I don't think it's the backbone of the performance.
I mean, Sally Hawkins in The Lost King, which nobody saw. That's an entirely putters and murmurs performance. Oh, Peter Sarsgaard in Memory.
Oh, I didn't see it.
One of the great Ketchup Entertainment projects, which is not a bad movie. It's a really well acted movie. Griffin just loves it when I bring up Ketchup Entertainment.
Ketchup Entertainment is the secret MVP of the year. Yeah.
But it's to me a very good performance, but it's very murmured, and he's puttering all right.
Sure.
Yeah, I guess those are the big ones, right? Is there anything else we need to shout out? Just in general, doesn't have to be.
Paul Giamatti's fake eye and Holdovers is the Askew and Akimbo award for I don't know.
The Lens Tech Operator, which is the proper title on that film, is a man named Zach Rips, who worked on The Tick, who is incredible.
I've heard that Zach rips.
He does.
Okay,
and the name doesn't lie.
Yeah.
But he did Giamatti's lens for the Holdovers. I was one of the only main cast members on the Tick who didn't have lenses.
Okay.
Almost everyone on that show has weird
cool
eyes.
Yeah.
Because like Overkill's got robot eyes.
Right.
Jackie Earle Haley had evil eyes. Miss Lane had the one glass on. Peter had bright blue contacts in. The guy is so good at his job, and it's one of those things where you're like, your whole career's just putting lenses in.
I love that. That's
and then you watch
job.
him work, and you're like, I get it. You know this shit so well.
Yeah.
And Giamatti's been like singing his praises, which I love. Every time anyone calls out the eye, he names him.
Man's a mensch.
That's like what was that old game show, like To Tell the Truth or whatever? No, was it whatever one? Well, that one is like somebody had a really like
it's the Catch Me If You Can game show.
A really interesting specific job that people had to cast.
Zach
that would have
Rips
been a great one.
Yeah.
All right.
I'm giving Zach Rips best lens tech of the year.
Okay.
I let me call out another undersung. This text I just got from Jordan Hoffman that I find inscrutable.
Classic.
I love it.
A text from him that's inscrutable.
I love Della Reese's concert album from Minsk, Della Reese live in Belarus. Now, do we get that? What is the joke? Or is he just sharing an opinion with me?
He's definitely just sharing that.
Is that a real album?
Is he not making the thing that Della Reese from Belarus is like a silly little...
it is. He's doing a Della Reese Belarus joke.
He is. It's like, doesn't Della Reese sound like Belarus? That's sort of what Jordan's
that is
saying.
right.
But like, have you guys ever discussed Della Reese?
No.
Have you ever been touched by an angel?
No.
That's her, right?
Can you tell Jordan I'm disappointed that he didn't text me after the Barbara Lifetime Achievement thing at SAG because they included a clip from Nuts, and he's my guy who's supposed to text me about Nuts.
Yeah. Did you see that? I think it was in Puck or one of the newsletters that she had a guy next to her in the audience shining a flashlight on anyone who tried to take a picture of her because, like, to disrupt any pictures of her that she does not sanction. Just classic Barbara.
Rules.
Best Director.
My Best Director nominees are Aki Kaurismäki for Fallen Leaves.
Yep.
Bradley Cooper for Maestro.
Hey.
A movie I hope time will be kinder to.
It will be. It's a good movie.
Here's all I'll say about that. When people complain about like he so badly wants to win an Oscar, drives me crazy. If you want to win an Oscar, that's not the movie you make. If your only goal is to just cakewalk to an Oscar,
I completely agree.
If he made the conventional biopic,
if he had made the movie that people are accusing him of making, he might have won an Oscar.
He would have won one of the categories at least.
I don't mind when people really want to win an Oscar.
I also don't mind that.
I don't mind that.
But
it's the most relatable thing about Bradley Cooper to me.
That is not a pandering movie. That is a movie of, and everything that people find annoying about his Oscar campaign is everything I find interesting about him as an artist.
Right. It's not right.
His persona is bizarre and inscrutable, and there's
going to be that way whether he's campaigning for an Oscar or not. He's a weird guy.
Yeah, I also think there's something about the fact that his like mainstream ascension happened in a very bro-y vein.
Yes.
Right? That he was like doing the Hangover movies and American Sniper and the David O. Russell comedies where he was playing these really macho, coked up guys and whatever.
Dr. F. Slur is going to be a big boulder for me to get around, and I'm like probably unfair, but
and
that's
Star is
where
Born
we're
is
at.
him making like an old-fashioned weepy picture, but in it he was playing this fucking cool, drunk guy.
Yeah.
And Maestro is him kind of like opening up to some stuff that maybe...
Bradley's got some conversations to have. And
there are conversations to be had. Sofia Coppola and Priscilla.
Yeah.
Matt Johnson, Blackberry. I said Sofia Coppola in Priscilla, but she is all over that movie.
She sure is.
Christopher Nolan, Oppenheimer. Those are my director nominations. Joe.
Mine are Mr. Wes Anderson in Asteroid City, Greta Gerwig for Barbie, Todd Haynes for May December, Christopher Nolan for Oppenheimer, and Wim Wenders for Perfect Days.
I've got Nolan, Scorsese, Miyazaki, Wes Anderson, and Aki Kaurismäki.
A gentleman's five.
The Blankies went for Nolan, Scorsese, Anderson, Lanthimos, and Gerwig.
Scorsese was my final cut. I will say I also strongly considered putting Christopher McQuarrie on there. And I wonder if it's an unfair bump from just like me listening to his 18 hours of the... For whatever, I think there are story problems that movie cannot get past that mostly have to do with the split in half nature of it.
Sure. I like that. It's fun.
I love that movie.
I just like Fallout better.
Same.
So I'm not giving you director.
But I'm like raw feat of just directing. Even if it's not as good as his last two Mission Impossible movies, it is astounding the way he makes those films. And I think it has several of the best constructed sequences I saw.
Did you guys say your actor winners? I'm just making sure.
My winner was Cillian Murphy for Oppenheimer.
Mine was Koji Yakusho.
Yours was Jason
we did.
Schwarzenegger.
I'm just making sure.
Yeah.
People get angry when we don't say the winners.
My director winner
when we
is Nolan.
spoil movies, or when we do the thing where we say the name of the person and then we mumble the movie they're in. Jason Schwartzman.
My winner is Nolan.
Yeah, so's mine.
My winner's Nolan.
Yeah.
It's a little undeniable.
Best Picture.
Here are the Blankies from 1 to 10.
Right.
Or should you want me to do 10 to 1? That's
10
my
to
only question.
Do 10 to 1.
I think 10 to 1.
10, Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse. 9, Anatomy of a Fall. 8, The Holdovers. 7, Poor Things. 6, Past Lives. 5, Asteroid City. 4, Boy and the Heron. 3, May December. 2, Flower Moon. 1, Oppenheimer. I'll do my 10.
All right.
10, 1001. 9, Dungeons and Dragons. 8, Beau is Afraid. 7, The Zone of Interest. 6, Showing Up. 5, Fallen Leaves. 4, Asteroid City. 3, The Boy and the Heron. 2, Killers of the Flower Moon. 1, Oppenheimer. And I will say that top 5's pretty much been set for me the whole time. The bottom 5 has been very fluid for me all year. Go on, Joe.
Mine, starting with number 10, is Beau is Afraid. 9, Barbie. 8, The Holdovers. 7, Anatomy of a Fall. 6, All of Us Strangers. 5, Asteroid City. 4, Perfect Days. 3, Killers of the Flower Moon. 2, May December. And my number 1 film of the year is Oppenheimer.
Number 10, Mission Impossible Dead Reckoning. Number 9, Showing Up. Number 8, Asteroid City. Number 7, Full Time. 6, Killers of the Flower Moon. 5, Priscilla. 4, Maestro. 3, Fallen Leaves. 2, Blackberry. 1, Oppenheimer.
Wow.
I want to say
all in agreement.
Jay Baruchel was a last-second bump for me in Best Lead
Baruchel
Actor.
is very good in that movie. I like
He's very
him a
good.
lot.
He is tremendously good.
Yeah.
It is one of the best sort of subtle moral rot performances I've seen in a while without
Agreed.
tiptoeing into all-out villain.
I think it is also definitively the most Canadian performance ever.
In a way that, I mean, yes.
Like,
yes.
I think they should maybe put him on their flag. And I know they have a great flag.
Yes. No, but he's so unreal good in it. And the scene where he fucking leaves the phone in the car and then interrupts the meeting.
Yes.
And just suddenly for the first time gets it, like gets how to actually sell the product is so exciting.
Like the Canadian coat of arms is pretty boring. I think Baruchel can sneak on
but
there.
Blackberry also similar. I'm like, is this like one of the 5 greatest Canadian movies of all time? And like most Canadian.
You've got your Cronenberg
around the edges,
you know.
And then it had a centerpiece scene about the NHL.
Yeah, about the Hamilton hockey team.
I fucking adore that movie. It's like the movie, it might be the film of 2023 I watch the most for the rest of my life.
I'm from Waterloo where the vampires hang out.
Yes.
Okay. We have nothing else to say.
Yeah, my number 10, I should also say, was like until the last minute was a 3-way mishmash of Beau is Afraid, The Iron Claw, and Past Lives. And Beau is Afraid just sort of
don't invite me to that threesome. Seriously though, Jesus.
Yeah, seriously.
I mean, one of them kills people with his cum. The other one is so roided up he can probably
did we all acknowledge biggest balls? Beau's Afraid?
Well, we should.
In multiple ways.
Most deadly semen.
Ballsiest movie.
Yeah.
Is that the way to say it? Ballsiest movie?
I just love that movie.
I do too.
Was that a movie that, like, I still don't have a grasp on, like, whether, did people like Beau is Afraid?
Well, it certainly underperformed at the box office by the standards of Ari Aster's previous films. It overperformed the box office for a 3-hour movie about a guy who needs to nut.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know that Beau is Afraid really was ever going to be a wildly commercial film.
Right.
I
but
do
even
think
just among like
I think it
circles that we kind of run
underwhelmed,
in.
but has already grown quite a cult.
People were angry about it when it came out, and angry about like people I wouldn't expect to be angry about it.
It's a movie that really stresses you out for a very long time,
which I love.
You know what I mean? And so that's
I'm a glutton for punishment.
It's a particular kind of
And then at the end, Mr. Waternoose is there.
Yeah.
I just think
wild. You
sense.
really didn't
like
expect it.
A genuine blank check, the kind we don't often get anymore.
Absolutely.
The argument for why A24 is good. Right? I'm like, it's the most definitive. Like, look, they fucking let him truly do whatever he wanted with a bigger budget than his last 2 movies.
People are weird about A24 in both directions, I would
agree.
say. In a way that, like, and I much would rather vibe with people who are like psyched about something. Yeah. Are like, the people who are like, A24, a bunch of like merchandise hawking posers or whatever. I'm like, they give me so many movies that I like.
Also, not to talk out of school, and I know you were like, I'm sure hearing more of this, David, but like the people I talked to who worked at A24 were like, we knew everyone was going to hate this movie and we're behind it 100%.
Yeah, they were hyped to release
so often when studios have a movie like that's like a weird blank check, they're just like, we don't fucking get it, but obviously we're trying to maintain our relationship with this guy. Right. They're just sort of like, we gave him a flyer.
Right.
And A24 was like proud of that movie and was also like, we're realistic. We know this is not going to be a hit.
Can we give that kid the award for I can't believe it's not AI?
I can't believe it's not AI.
I'm still
it's not AI.
50-50.
Yeah. Well, I think it's the moment of truth.
The moment we've all been waiting for.
See, we every year make the calculation that Soderbergh tried one year and it blew up in his face. What if Best Picture isn't the last thing you give out?
Right.
What if there's something that actually, even if it seems smaller, is going to get the biggest response?
Right.
But year after year, it has not failed us.
Well, I have kind of a surprise.
Oh, God.
Oh, my God.
I'm going to have to stand up for this.
Oh, my God. Ben, of course,
don't break another microphone arm. I already broke one.
Yeah, I'm going to try and not do that.
Ben is wearing his I'm a dog shirt. Or you are a dog?
So I have prepared for us on this year's Blankies a song entitled I'm Just Ben. And I'm going to give it my best. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
You better not have put more work into this than I did for my opening song.
Pretty sure he did. I saw him counting up.
Doesn't seem to matter what I do. I'm always with these two. The third wheel of the two friends. Oh, I have hot takes I want to explain. They're driving me insane. I have not been so polite, and I'll show you all tonight. 'Cause I'm just Ben, any part else I'd be a 10. Is it my destiny to live and die a life of dank scumbummery? I'm just Ben, I like bones but can transcend. What will it take for them to see the man behind the mic and respect me?
It's changing sheets of paper over to part 2.
Moving things around.
Okay.
I'm just Ben, and my cred I must amend. I'm up on fashion, see live music, and go to new arts galleries. I'm just Ben, I'm hot as hell and dressed on trend. What will it take for you to see there's life beyond the screen? Film to define me. I'm just Ben, and I'm enough, and I'm great at other stuff. So hey, check me out, yeah, I'm just Ben. My name's Ben, and so am I. All my nicknames are alive. So hey, well, check me out, yeah, I'm just Ben. Baby, I'm just Ben. It's
Voice of an angel.
hard to do that.
Hard to just stand and sing to 3 people in a podcast studio.
Is it fair to say your fiance has been sort of the Bruce Valanche behind this bit for the last 6 months, telling you
Absolutely.
need to do this?
She encouraged me and
She's
then
pitched it to me
basically
a couple
wrote
times.
most of the lyrics. And I was like, I don't think I could do this. And she's like, yes, you can. You're going to do this.
You're Valanche. And that's
Thank you,
the
Noah.
truest form of love.
Wow. Yeah. So, you know what? I think it's okay. And in post, we'll clean that sucker up.
Oh, dirty it up,
Yeah.
if anything.
All right.
That was beautiful.
Well,
That was incredible, bro.
yeah.
And
thank
by
you.
the way, you're
Thank
so
you.
much more than Ben and my ex.
That's true.
I appreciate
You're a meat
it.
lover.
But you are also just Ben.
You're a fart detective. You're
I am just Ben, though. And that's kind of what
probably
that was about.
Yeah.
Right.
Like Benny. Soaking wet Benny. Way
Oh.
hot Benny.
Okay.
Wishful Ben.
Yeah.
The commish.
Mm.
The futzer.
Wishful Ben, that was
Futzers.
Who
Was that an Io?
I think that was Io.
I'm
that was Io.
I'm
That
gonna-
was now the most successful actor in the world, Io Adebri.
Gave
Gave you that nickname?
Yeah. Yeah. That feels good. Okay. Well, it's of course that time of the Blankies where I get to do my original
You're
categories.
spoilers. You're doing both?
Yes.
Oh my God.
Yeah,
I thought
if
that
you
was
had
in
just
lieu
dropped
of.
the
Just an
mic,
intro
we would have
salvo.
accepted
We would
it.
have been thrilled. Holy shit.
All right. We have, of course, to begin
Of course.
the Wetties, the Golden Mop.
Of course.
It's the slickest flicks of the year.
Uh-huh.
It's the movies that soak through what splished, what splashed, moist, sure.
We're so lucky.
We are.
Number 1, this movie puts new meaning to slick flick.
Okay.
Killers of the Flower Moon is covered in damn crude.
This is true.
That's true.
Water and oil don't mix, you say? I say wet is wet, and my friends, this film be geysering.
I mean, it literally begins with people bathing in oil, dancing.
Yeah.
This is true.
Yeah. Next is another entry that operates in a different medium besides H2O.
Okay.
White chocolate, of course. Wonka is a sweet treat and totally covered in chocolate. And can't forget Scrub.
Can't forget Scrub.
Very good point.
Great point.
Number 3 is kind of a more traditional pick, Naiad.
You gotta shout it out. Even though that water is fake.
This lady
looks real.
be swimming.
She be swimming.
Her water
Period.
is fake, but her love is real.
Okay, now,
That's good. 5 comedy points, Joe.
sorry to be crass.
Took me a second.
But I need to give respect. You know, not often does semen get to be so prominently featured. Saltburn just really goes for it.
Cummy bathwater. It's true.
Slurp,
we do.
slurp.
Yeah, exactly.
Slurp, slurp.
Yep.
Slurp.
Slurp.
And finally, I'm sorry to say, it's everyone's favorite and completely successful real world analog, Elemental. Fire and water don't mix, you say? This movie says actually, and then just kind of trails off.
If there's somewhere that movie belongs, it is the Golden Mops.
That's yeah.
Is Aquaman being snubbed
what?
a bigger
good point.
surprise than the fucking Gerwig Robbie snubs at the Oscars?
I had more fun with saying these.
I know. No, look, the Academy can make the same argument.
Is him nominating Elemental part of the water supremacy agenda that's dominated for generations?
It is.
Keeping the fire people down.
Yeah.
Okay. Just wanted to say it.
It is.
I mean, I'm sorry, Aquaman.
I've long said the mainstream media is run by water.
Well,
Yeah.
Aquaman, the quietest 123 million domestic that's ever
I
happened.
said it to Griffin. It made Warner Brothers' desired amount of money.
Yeah.
Enough to make a profit, not enough to demand.
We were saying if it made 10 million more or less,
fuck,
they're pulling their hair out.
Yep, exactly.
Ruby Gillman, you need to add to the watch list, though. I'm just going to say, that's going to be one where in 5 years, you're like, I should have given it a mop and I just wasn't up on it in time.
All right, what else you got, Benny?
Well, okay, so I usually go through films that should be remade with and then pick these kind of different elements to really like
Food,
food, puppets.
I mean, there's been so
I
many.
just though decided to drop the category at least just for this year because there's so many remakes. It's like enough already. We don't need more.
Sure. Right, okay.
You know, so I don't even want
IP
to encourage
being
that kind of
exhausted.
behavior.
Right. So you're not going to say like Beau is afraid with melons or whatever. Yeah. Right.
Yeah.
You would.
There's another world.
I was too busy this morning composing lyrics with my fiance.
Of course.
Oop. Okay, so but on to the next. Thank you.
No, thank you.
Number 1 is Flaming Hot. More like flaming, not worth spending this short time on Earth engaging with this story.
Can't say I saw that one. I guess you had
I
to.
did.
No, it's an Oscar nominee.
It's an Oscar nominee.
How is it?
You know, it's not much of. Yeah, it's a movie.
Did they run that in adapted or original screenplay?
based on
a series of lies,
based on a fake
based
Cheeto.
on a Cheeto bag,
based on some shit some guy said.
Yeah.
All right, Ben. What else gets to know? Thank you.
Madame Web. Weird. I'm seeing myself.
2024 release. 2024.
I don't care. I'm seeing myself not buying a ticket to see this at the cinema.
Very good.
Wow.
Very good.
Wow.
Yeah,
Madame Web, maybe will stick with me more than any other film I see this year.
Her web connects us all.
It keeps me up at night still.
The Zone of Interest.
Okay.
Can I get a B? Okay, an M, now an E. All right, I'd like to solve. Is the phrase huge fucking bummer? Is that correct?
So you need 3 letters there for a huge fucking bummer.
Yeah.
Well, it's Wheel of Fortune.
I understand.
Got it.
Okay, American Symphony. Never before has my brain stopped being interested in something.
Homework. You just hear that title and you think homework?
Okay.
All right. I'm sorry. I just really quickly. Are you there, God? It's me, Ben. No offense, but this movie is just not for me. I'm sure it's lovely, but I still have to see the new Godzilla and I guess Napoleon first.
If they had combined it into "Are You There, Godzilla?"
It's me, Napoleon. Then
Oh yeah,
it's
it's me,
Summer
Napoleon.
Camp joke.
Yeah.
Napoleon would have vibed with Godzilla.
Yeah. The other thing is, Ben's gonna fucking cry so hard watching Margaret.
Ben, you're gonna love it. They're gonna see Margaret.
Yeah.
Maybe that's just why I'm scared.
You're
I'm scared
avoiding for the same reason I'm avoiding Zone of Interest, which is like, I don't know if I can handle this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Honorable mentions: the Super Mario Brothers for best film that features dry bones.
This is true.
That's true.
And we are trying to get him on as a
Ben's
guest.
dream guest for 20. We're our
gonna go out
intentions
to
we're putting
him
forward. David Krumholtz
for
and dry
Q4.
bones. We want to try to get
In the same episode, though.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Dungeons and Dragons for just being a fucking delight.
Yes.
Yeah.
The Boy and the Heron receiving the Violator Achievement Award.
Sure. Movie that reminds you most of the dynamic between Violator and Spawn.
Correct.
Cool. And that's in a new annual category that will stick around.
Yeah,
That's
we'll
true.
see.
Yeah, who had Violator energy this year?
Yeah.
Definitely.
And then Anyone But You for helping to establish a new kind of comedy trope that I really appreciate when the stoner character is high and is able to communicate with a koala specifically.
Now, you said there was another movie where this also happened?
This is another movie
There
from...
were two this year, right?
Well, no, it was last year, but it was the House Party remake also did
Those were
this.
both 2023.
Really?
Yeah.
Well, and,
wow.
And two of the best. of
Timmy's
2020.
Wonka communicates with a
Giraffe.
giraffe.
Yeah, when he's high on chocolate.
Well, right. Listen.
It's a big broad
High
brush
is
we
high.
can paint with. You
Yeah.
know, like, come on, Hollywood's a
Sure.
giant canvas,
I
okay?
just think it's wild that there are two I Smoke and then Talk to a Koala movies in
Yeah.
1 year.
And it's really cool, and we should continue with this.
Yeah.
Just keep going.
And I'm just looking here again. Best pee hole in a movie. I just
Wow.
want to remind everyone is still Anyone But You.
Yeah. All right. Well, that's my original categories for this year.
We're not going to top that, folks.
No, we're
Sure
not.
aren't.
Thank you for joining us.
Joe.
Thanks for having me, as always.
This had Oscar buzz.
This had Oscar buzz. We are chugging along. We have a Patreon now if you want
Hey.
to get 2 extra episodes a month.
And the
talk
Patreon
about
is movies that get some nominations, but not the major ones.
Right,
Yeah.
movies that don't qualify
Right. We are
because
hard
they
and fast
snuck a
rule,
score nom
Right,
or
right.
whatever.
Our hard
right.
and fast rule is nothing with any nominations whatsoever.
Right.
And so the Patreon, we do one a month that's an exception that is skated by with one nomination.
You're flaming hots.
Right. And then another episode a month that's more of a we'll watch the 96 MTV Movie Awards. We'll watch an old Hollywood
Okay.
Reporter roundtable.
Nice.
We'll, talk about the Oscar race for this year and stuff like that. So having a lot of fun with that. So check us out, my co-host Chris File and I. And then I'm doing games at Vulture. Now we just launched
I'm going to play this grid once we
Folks,
stop.
we love
Grid
games.
called the Cinematrix. If you're familiar with Ultimate Grid for
I love both those
baseball or
words.
football and
Yeah.
whatnot. Yeah. So I think it's fun. We've started it off fairly broad. I am the psychopath who's like, let's make it harder. And there's
Yeah.
like,
Hell
like
yeah.
calm down. So the calm down is me. So I'm excited to see where it goes. So check it out.
Check it out. I can't plug my shit. It's blank check. Check
It's
it
a
out.
blank check. Here's my plug. Tune in next week for Blank Check. Next
know.
week we resume McTiernan.
Yes, next week. That's right. Of course, this episode is live, essentially. So,
Live.
everything we just said
Do
on
it
it is
live.
actually going to air. We've basically recorded all of our McTiernans, but next week we have The Hunt for Red October with Jamel Bouie.
Yeah, one of the least surprising guest bookings of all time. But guess what? It's a fucking fun ass
Who I've
episode
heard
about
talk
rad
about the Hunt
movie.
for Red October on his own podcast.
And
Yes.
you'll hear it again.
Very exciting. That's
Jamal
great.
talking about Hunt for Red October is basically his free bird.
Yeah, like
But no one's complaining.
No.
This is what we came for.
That was not a complaint.
Yeah.
I'm very excited to hear Jamal.
Yeah,
talk
no, and he
about
has
that.
new takes on it. It's
Yeah.
great. It's a fucking great episode. That movie rules.
Yeah, it does.
Yeah.
It really does.
Rest McTiernan's really good,
Yeah, it is.
I think.
I agree.
And we set up our next 3 miniseries, and they're exciing. We're like fucking salivating at the
Guys,
promise of
I'm
what's
gonna
coming
get
up.
them to tell me all of their upcoming miniseries, and I'm not going to tell a soul.
And then March Madness is going to be fucking good. At this point, the voting started.
I think everyone's going to be normal about it. That's what I predict.
Yeah.
I feel like the last one was a nice return to normalcy last year.
Well, we took it off Twitter, but
Yeah.
I'm sure they did something insane last year. I don't
Yeah.
even remember.
Do both. It was the
Oh,
whole-
you know
Oh,
what?
right. It
Okay.
was do both. You're right.
I will be
it was
clear
the one vote
right
margin.
now. I can't
Yeah.
remember. Ben is the tiebreaker.
Yes.
If you engineer a tie, he will break it.
Yeah.
That's how it works.
Do both ain't a thing.
We are not doing
Yeah.
both.
No.
We will do one,
Yeah.
and Ben is the tiebreaker.
Does
Yeah.
that mean we're never doing Bong Joon-ho? No. It
No,
just means
but
you don't
it's a-
fucking tell us what to do. You get to pick one a year.
And
you
don't
kind of
try
tell
to
us what to do.
sway
Yeah.
me if it comes down to a tie. I'll pick.
The only thing that will sway him is money.
That's the only
That's
thing.
okay.
true.
And where are you going to find that?
Or gifts.
Gifts?
Right.
Or
Flattery.
compliments?
Right. a kind smile on a gloomy day.
Sending him a gif of a thing he likes.
No, not a kind smile. Okay. I need more than that.
It's more demanding.
All right. A free microphone arm? We need one.
Yeah. Well, now.
We have to record on Wednesday.
Why do you think I'm telling people we have 3 miniseries
sweating
planned?
Yeah, we're like Zaslav. We got a lot of stuff coming up, okay? You guys don't even know. Tom Cruise is in like 8 movies.
Yeah, we got to end this episode so we can start our seed funding round.
We're so rich, we're going to buy Paramount. We have so much money to buy them.
We're going to buy Paramount.
Yeah.
And we're buying Kaidu.
They take Monopoly money, right?
Yeah.
But he's trying to put Paramount on his Amex. Come on. I'll buy you right now. All right, we're done. Goodbye. Love you all.
Thank you all for listening.
Yep.
Please remember to rate, review, and subscribe. Thank you to Marie Barty, co-producer of this show, and our announcer for the evening.
That's true.
Our master of ceremonies. Thank you to Joe Bone and Pat Reynolds for our artwork, that golden Watto. Thank you to Lane Montgomery and the Great American Novel for our theme song. I don't know why I tripped on that word. Thank you to JJ Birch for taking it sleazy for a week. He went to go see Disney on Ice.
Yeah.
And Pixar in concert. He went to like Pixar Philharmonic or some shit.
I am happy that my episode
being a fucking good ass dad, taking his daughter
to take a week off. You're welcome, JJ.
Thank you to
take a month off because he's fired. I'm just kidding. You're rehired.
Alex Barron, AJ McKeon for editing. AJ McKeon, also production coordinator on the show.
As well, we should say thank you to Alex for creating all of the original music for our Blankie episodes.
Wow.
Nice.
Oh, sure.
Very
yeah,
good.
Absolutely. You can go to blankcheckpod.com for links to some real nerdy shit, including our Patreon Blank Check special features. We're finishing up the Terminator movies, doing an episode on...
You're into the good ones now, right?
We actually have our Die Hard 2 Die Harder episode coming up on March 11th.
And then next month, we have our Sin Eater, The Crimes of Anthony Pelicano episode coming up, which is...
I could not be
definitely
more psyched
not
for that one.
45 minutes of us vamping after we've stopped talking about that.
It's either going to be...
We might have to talk more about that off mic.
People's most or least favorite episode ever.
I can't wait. So
I think we may have to perhaps include something else on the garbage plate.
Fair enough.
Okay, well, let's talk about that later.
Okay.
Yeah.
Anyway, next week, Hunt for Red October. And as always, next year I'm going to get Ben's fiance to do punch up on my opening number.
And as always, Mr. Wadden, you're supposed behind everything all along.
Yes.
I'm Marie Barty, and this has been the Blank Check Awards, with music by the Alex Barron Orchestra. Illustrations and graphics created by Joe Bowen and Pat Reynolds. Produced by AJ McKeon. Executively produced by Ben. Promotional consideration for the Blankies provided by Chipcoin, the official currency of the moon. The Lumiere Brothers Factory. Walking out of work, walking into film history. Water. Did you remember to drink some today? Dan Lewis's Shack of Subs. He retired from acting. He's making sandwiches now. Radio Shack. Fran Magazine. Votes for the 7th Annual Blank Check Awards were tabulated and certified by the accounting firm of Ernst & Young. Special thanks to Jack Reid, Party Blue Jay, and the Academy of Motion Picture Arts and Blankies for their contributions.